Hey, it's Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, we're going to review SmackDown. We'll talk about Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar coming up at Backlash. And the WWE Draft officially starts in 2 weeks. And other things. We got other things to talk about. Right, John? Plenty of things going on in professional wrestling. How are you? How you feeling?
Not bad. Just feels like it's still a bit of a letdown from Mania, where it's like it was kind of exciting. Now it's just a little bit of like, well, it's gonna be rematches and a lot of talking. Seems like we got a lot more talking than action right now.
Well, that's what we're here for, right? The talking. The talking about
we
the wrestling.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
We talk legit though. Like we don't talk like this is the greatest thing you'll ever see. No, we're like no. Like this is good. This is not so good.
Mm-hmm.
A little in between stuff too.
Yeah, there's a lot of in between. A lot of kind of mid, right? As the great MJF might say, mid. I'm watching AEW Rampage right now, and it is Taya Valkyrie in the ring with somebody. And here's Jade Cargill out. Emi Sakura, okay. And here's Jade Cargill out talking smack to her from the stage. And that's happening on Rampage right now. We watch SmackDown. Of course, we watch Raw and Dynamite this week. We'll get you caught up on everything professional wrestling here on Wrestling Uncensored as we do every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the Ringside Report Network, live. Give a shout-out to everybody tuning in live here tonight. Appreciate everybody checking in on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. All the things. Did I mention everything? Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Don't forget about the Rumble, baby. Okay. Where do you want to start? I mean, there's a lot. I don't know. We got new tag team champions. Let me give you a rundown of what's happened this week because there's just a lot of news, right? New tag team champions in the women's division, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez beat Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, not Becky Lynch and Lita, which we'll get to. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar is likely happening at Backlash. Brock's going to answer the challenge on Monday, which, you know what that means. They announced tonight on SmackDown that the draft in the WWE will start in 2 weeks on SmackDown, so 2 weeks from tonight. And it'll continue on the following week's Raw. The Usos will be wrestling Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag team titles on that SmackDown show when the draft starts in 2 weeks. So that's a WrestleMania main event rematch that we're seeing right off the bat here on SmackDown. They're not waiting until Backlash for this one. They're doing it right on SmackDown in 2 weeks, which I think is cool. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are going to defend their newly won tag team titles on SmackDown next week against Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Gunther is going to defend the Intercontinental title against Xavier Woods next week on SmackDown, and the Viking Raiders will take on Braun Strowman and Rick O'Shea. So a lot of action. Logan Paul renewed his WWE contract. Trish Stratus turned heel on Becky Lynch. I mean, a lot going on in the WWE, and that's just kind of an overview of what happened, right? I like Cody versus Brock coming up right away. I know we talked about it last week, and you thought that it might be like a bit of a delay before we saw it. Maybe not Backlash, but I said, why not Backlash? What are we waiting for here? You started the angle. Let's get the match. And Cody made the challenge on Raw this week. I was quite happy when he did it. There was some meat to the promo. Challenge. Accept it or not. And now Brock will be on Raw Monday night to accept it or not. But, I'm pleased with that. I want to see that match. I want to see Cody Brock. I don't want to have to wait until whatever. SummerSlam. Give it to me in May. Give it to me at Backlash because I want to know what you're going to do. WWE, are you going to give Cody a win over Brock, which is probably the right thing to do at this point for him and the company and, a lot of things? Or are you going to have Brock beat Cody and then, I don't know. I don't know where you go from there. Another match until Cody finally beats him at some point, I guess. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. I'm interested to see how the promos are going to be leading up to it. Brock is going to have to speak for himself as a heel at some point and explain his actions. I wonder how that's going to turn out. And the match itself, Cody likes to wrestle. Is he going to be satisfied with a 3 to 7 minute match with Brock? It's not going to be long. Or will Brock give him a little bit more? I'm interested in so many aspects of this match and this feud. So, I'm hooked. Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar. Two of the biggest stars in the business, wrestling for the first time ever. Works for me.
Well, I think first off, in terms of would it work, a match, Brock versus Cody, I think Brock has shown when he wrestled AJ Styles and when he wrestled Daniel Bryan in WWE, that he can have those matches where it's it's going to be a Brock match where he throws him around, but it can still be competitive. So, I think that's what's probably going to happen. Cody's going to get thrown around quite a bit. Probably more than likely the offense is 70-30 Brock, but Cody will have his moments. And I think Cody actually is probably best in those moments where he's that underdog in terms of the wrestling in the match, where he's fighting from underneath. I think people can really get behind Cody that way with Brock putting such a beating on him. So in terms of the match, I think there'll be no problem. I think, honestly, it's just be one and done, though. Cody beats him, and that's it. We don't need to do this 3 times for the next 3 pay-per-views. My concern is that they're doing Saudi Arabia also in May, that they might just drag this out to that as well.
Right. They're going back to Saudi Arabia.
May 27th, I believe, not mistaken, for Night of Champions.
Right. I thought it was going to be King and Queen of the Ring. That's what they said at first, but now they're changing it to Night of Champions?
Are you surprised? I'm not.
I guess not. I was kind of looking forward to a King of the Ring deal. I wonder what happened there.
Well, just the idea of a tournament like that, they're not going to get the people they want. Like, they want the big stars. They want all the special stars.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that with that kind of tournament.
That's a good point. But you could do it like an old school King of the Ring pay-per-view where you had, the King of the Ring tournament going on, but also like a WWF title match.
Yeah, it could, but then that's an extremely long pay-per-view. I mean, it's already long enough. I mean, it's not impossible, but maybe they figured if we're going to do that, maybe we won't do that in Saudi Arabia where we have to bring so many more people then, limit the amount of people you have to bring. Because don't they have, because that runs, is that still a Thursday or when is the 27th? Is it a Friday? Or Saturday, actually, no?
Let me tell you.
Because I think it's the day before Double or Nothing.
It's a Saturday. Saturday afternoon, I'm guessing, right? From Saudi Arabia.
So yeah, Night of Champions, then Double or Nothing the next day. It's a big weekend for us.
That's fun. A lot of action. A lot of action. But it's a hell of a match, and yeah, I could see them dragging out to Saudi Arabia, right? Brock and Cody in a rematch. Because if you're going to Saudi Arabia, you probably want Brock there in some capacity, right? One of those big shows in Saudi Arabia, you usually bring Brock. But to have Cody lose again at Backlash,
it's rough.
Right? And that's really the main reason why you'd have a rematch in Saudi Arabia. Because if Brock loses, does Brock want revenge? Maybe.
Unless they have a non-finish, maybe. DQ
that's
kind
it.
of finish.
That's the thinking, right? If they do the rematch in Saudi Arabia off Backlash, you would expect Cody to not have won at Backlash, right?
Right.
Because if Brock loses, maybe they don't do a rematch in Saudi Arabia for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Why? Why is that? Because Brock's the heel?
I just feel like it's unfinished. That's why whatever happens in terms of the finish, it wasn't done. And if it's just a straight up match, DQ kind of makes sense where you kind of have to make it a cage match or a no holds barred kind of situation in order to get a winner. So I can see something like that go down.
But what about Cody and Seth? Cody just beat Seth 3 times, and the last one was in a Hell in a Cell for some reason. Couldn't Cody just beat Brock a few times?
I mean, they could do that. I'd be surprised for Brock just to lose out like that, but it's not impossible. I just wouldn't expect it, though. And I think there's more intrigue in the sense that Cody hasn't beaten the Beast yet, in a sense.
Yeah.
He still has to overcome it, and then to do it at one of the biggest shows of the year when you think about it. I mean, people can hate, Saudi Arabia, but in terms of the spectacle of the show, it's just as big as a WrestleMania.
I think this show in Puerto Rico is going to be pretty massive, too.
Potentially, yeah.
I think Backlash is going to be pretty special. Yeah. Cody and Brock is a really fun match, man. It's fun, and I think people are they're itching to see Cody get a big win. After losing to Roman, there's just a lot of wrestling fans that want to see Cody get a nice, clean victory that means something, that feels big. That's why I think you got to kind of give the fans more than anything a win for Cody over Brock at this point. I think it's the right move, right? If you were booking things, if you were in charge, wouldn't you just have Cody hit 3 of those crossroads?
Crossroads,
right?
Yeah.
Hit a trio of those. Boom, boom, boom. Pin the Beast. 1, 2, 3. Crowd goes nuts.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see, but again, it's Brock, so it might take more than 3 crossroads. It might take 10. So
I mean, he barely beat Omos. You know? You see that match? Brock was not booked strong in that match. He barely beat Omos. Who is Brock? Really? At this point? I don't know.
Well, didn't take 3 Cody Cutters to beat, or 3 Crossroads to beat Solo, so.
Solo's like undefeated other than that. Beat Riddle tonight. Solo's the man.
They're going to put Brock over huge like that too, and it's like it's going to take even more to beat Brock, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's the right move, though, to have Cody Rhodes winning. Lior checking in, member of the team. He says, Brock stays strong no matter what happens. Cody should win 100%. Yeah. Lior, a member over at join.ringsidereport.net. Be like Lior. Go to join.ringsidereport.net. $5 a month. Support the Ringside Report Network. Shout out to Lior. Seeing Ryan Katz in the chat. Matthew Henley. Hassan Terrell. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Alex Tarras. Anthony Plesia, member of the team. What's up, Anthony? Yeah. Friday night. We're live. Olivier Aubin-Mercier won his fight tonight at PFL. Beat Shane Burgos. Let's go. I gave you Olivier last night as an underdog pick. The champion of PFL was an underdog tonight, plus 100. And Team Dave cashed in. Team Dave including me. Thank you, Olivier, for doing us proud. Continuing your tremendous legacy in PFL and making us money. Can't believe Olivier was the underdog tonight. I know a lot of people in Quebec, a lot of Montreal MMA guys cashed in tonight. So congratulations to Olivier and to us. The victory. As Olivier says, Quebec is back. Tabarnak. Let's go, Olivier. So did you see the fight, John? You missed the fight.
I didn't see the fight, but I think AJ and Fred also picked him, no?
Yeah, of course. We all picked him. How could you not?
Yeah.
He's the best. He's a Canadian gangster. Yankees blew a 3-1 lead, lost to the Twins 4-3. Pissed me off big time, but Olivier won.
Second loss in a row. Wow.
Yeah, it sucks. First time they've lost 2 in a row this season. They should have won. They blew the game. They had a 3-1 lead. They were looking strong, and then things didn't go well tonight in the Bronx.
Judge, he doesn't hit home runs anymore. What happened?
He hit one tonight.
Oh,
Judge
okay.
hit one. Stanton hit one. And Anthony Volpe, the rookie, Volpe took one deep, his first home run of his career. 3 solo shots, and the Yankees still lost 4-3. And I saw a stat on the game that said the Yankees are 29-2 when Stanton and Judge homer in the same game. Make that 29-3. I was like, 29-2, that's a good record. Judge and Stanton homering in the same game, that makes sense. They did it. Let's go. We're going to win. 3-1. And then we lost.
Well, it's a long season. And again, there's wild card spots. So, you're not going to beat the Devil Rays, but maybe get that wild card
the Rays
spot.
lost a game tonight. They lost to the Blue Jays.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
No, the Jays beat them tonight.
Well,
so, yeah.
Well, now you're really in trouble then.
I just got a text from my dad who said the Rays lost. That's his team, the Rays.
Yeah, they're still great.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But wait till they haven't played the best teams. Wait. Just wait, John. Just wait. Do that in the Bronx, Rays. Come on. Bring it. Okay, back to the wrestling. I love the Yankees so much. I'm so happy baseball's back. I'm loving it. It's so nice.
Well, I just think it's important to mention that, Rob was bad, but there were problems because the wrestlers weren't able to make the show, so that screwed up the show in terms of what they wanted to do. So, and they get a little bit of a pass this week because delays, issues screwed up the show.
Who was supposed to be there that never wound up showing up? Anybody? Because I feel like they got everybody there that they wanted, and I understand that the word was Riddle and Sammy
got there
legit
during the show.
Showed up during the show.
Right.
So that's why they kind of just made an appearance at the end to make the save for Kevin. But, if that's all that was missing, what else was really missing from Raw? I was hearing a lot about travel and issues and all that stuff, But then I watched the show and I thought, they have pretty much all their guys here. Who was missing? Anybody significant that we see every week on Raw where you're like, oh, they were not there? I struggled to find a missing person.
Well, I know you're not going to be excited by this, but did they not advertise like a Miz match?
Yeah.
I feel like that was advertised last week.
So Miz?
That never happened.
So Miz couldn't come? Like, that's it? Oh, no. The show is like, do you really think that would have made the show better? Because you're saying Raw gets a pass for being not so good because they didn't have all their talent. And the one talent you're saying that wasn't there is Miz, who we all know sucks. So, what? He's not making a show better. He's terrible. The drizzling Miz?
It's 20 minutes of the show. You know, you're expected to have that. You've advertised that. So you have to rewrite 20 minutes, you know, and then another couple minutes there, like the Usos wrestling on the show. Like, who knows if that was supposed to even happen?
Yeah,
there was a
weird.
bunch of SmackDown people
that
were on the show. So it felt like there was probably more things that they wanted and didn't get. Like the three-way as well was kind of weird. Sky against Piper Niven against Mia Yim. Like,
yeah, what the hell was that?
It was kind of just random stuff. Like, to me, that felt like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Okay. Even Finn Balor and Rey Mysterio out of nowhere, just on Raw.
Yep.
That was a bit of a surprise.
Show.
Yeah, and it took up a chunk of time. Yeah, that's it. Rey Mysterio came out and started talking to start off the show, saying, you know, the Hall of Fame should have been great, but it wasn't because of my son, who's such a dick. And then Dominic comes out, and he's like, oh, Bad Bunny, it's his fault that I lost my match at WrestleMania against you, Dad.
Whoa. You're missing the best part when he came out.
What happened?
He said, take my name out of your mouth.
Keep my name out of your mouth.
Yeah, keep my name out of your mouth, yeah.
Like Will Smith, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I think he meant to do it like that, but it wasn't quite right.
Well, because he can't swear, because Will Smith swore.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really have the same effect. If you can't say, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Crying. What a weird guy. Put him in the ring.
I don't know about you, like, this kind of showed, like, Dominic, like, you know, sometimes he has good promos. This week, not the best. It just felt like he was trying to remember what he's supposed to say and, like, how he's supposed to act. Like, a lot of it just felt not natural.
Okay, well, how about this? This is my main problem with that whole promo. Rey Mysterio is like, oh, Bad Bunny's going to be back, and you're going to regret what you did to him, choke slamming him through the table and all that, right? And then Rey is like, how about this? How about we have a rematch right now, Dominic?
Yep.
This guy spent, what, months talking about not wanting to fight his son? He finally relents, has one match, and then 2 weeks later he's like, let's do it again. I'm going to kick your ass. I was like, what? What do you mean?
Well, he said why. He said why. He
Why?
said he's a lost cause.
Oh, okay. So now he's just given up on him, and he'll fight him constantly.
Yeah,
so now he just wants to beat him senseless. He's his enemy, his own son, who he refused to fight for a long time. It is a lot like Kane and Undertaker, where Undertaker refused to fight Kane for like so long, and then he finally did at WrestleMania, and he beat him, and then it was like, yeah, I'll fight him for thousands of years if you want me to. And he did. And they teamed up again, and then they broke up, and you know the story. So that's what's happened.
Same in this one too.
It's a Kane Undertaker thing. So Rey is Undertaker, and he's like, he's finally relented, and now the floodgates are open, so you just fight Dominic whenever. I thought it was weird that Rey just challenged him to a rematch when he seemed to not want to wrestle him at all ever, like 3 weeks ago. That was the story.
Well, there comes a time when a father gives up on his son. So.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's gonna happen.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, John.
Hey, it's happened in this story.
Well, yeah, in this story. Which, does that make Rey a good father? He's just given up. He's like, I don't think that's good parenting. He's your son. You should figure it out. Bad parenting, Rey. Bad father.
to be fair, like you've said that to your son, like in the future, if he like screws up and like, can't get home or whatever, it's like, well, it's up to you to figure it out.
What are you talking about?
You said that before, like if your son's like out something late and he hasn't figured out a way home, it's like if it's too late, like you're not gonna go save him.
How
You said
old
that
are we
yourself
talking
as
about?
well.
My son's 5. If he shouldn't be out
I know,
late.
but
He's
you
not
said
out
like
anywhere.
you said like when he gets like 16, if he goes out late and he can't find his way back home, like you're not gonna go out and save him. You said that. You're on your
Yeah.
own. Your
Well, I
own
was probably
words.
joking, John, and you took me seriously. I mean, you know, you got to save your child. You got to take care of your kid if they're confused and lost. It's what you do. You'll know one day when you have kids, John. You'll get it. You'll know.
Wow. I prefer that you said like you save your daughter no matter what. Your son, well, he's on his own. I like that part. Right? You said.
I don't remember saying any of this. But then
Well, we
again,
have it all. Don't worry.
I have a terrible memory, and we do a lot of these shows, and I don't. As soon as
Exactly.
we're done this show, I completely forget everything that I've said. I have no recollection of anything.
That's the fun thing of a video. It lasts
Yeah, I have
forever.
no recollection. All right. Well, for the record, John, I would save them.
Okay.
Both of them, no matter what. In case you wanted to know. Oh my
It's
God,
good for
Vicky
the-
Guerrero. Yeah, let's not talk about Vicky Guerrero. Holy shit.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
right.
rough
Katz
stuff.
is like,
That's
speaking of
sad.
bad parenting, how about Vicky Guerrero, whose daughter claims that Vicky's husband sexually assaulted her on a cruise ship?
Now it's one of her daughters. Like she has 2 daughters.
Yeah, one
so-
of her daughters is claiming this. And then Vicky has like turned her back on this daughter and saying, she's, got problems and I'm not dealing with her anymore, basically. Yeah, I don't know.
They're going to court over this apparently.
Okay. Well, Vicky, Ray, good friends. Maybe it's kind of all
It's
part of
sad.
her life
Man.
story.
It's very sad.
I don't know. Yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. The whole story there with Vicky and her daughter and all that. When I saw that come up, I was like, oh. And we haven't really addressed it because it's not really in. I like to stick to wrestling. Like this kind of family drama with Vicky and one of her daughters who's never been a wrestler or anything. I don't know about her. I don't know her story. Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero we know, but I see that thing and I see the drama going on with her and her daughter, and what are you going to say? It's a sad situation.
Well, I just feel that something like that should not be out in the public. Like you should talk to each other about that, not just air it all out there and share every detail about it, and then everyone has their own take on it. Every family member, Chavo, I think, even wrote about it as well. And it's like this is getting really messy and very public. And
Yeah.
I don't know if this needs to be public, to be honest. Like I understand it's a very serious issue, but the whole world doesn't need to know about this. Like,
yeah, people take sides at that point. Like, I don't like that whole part of it when it becomes a public thing and people take sides. People online that don't know any of these people, they start taking sides and saying things and getting involved, and it's like, that's why I like to stay out of that stuff, because it's really, I don't have a side to take. I don't really know the story. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
It just seems sad. Vicky seems estranged from one of her daughters, and something bad has happened. Right? Ugh. Ugly situation.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Hopefully they can solve it
goddamn,
somehow,
this girl she's saying that Vicky's husband like sexually assaulted her, and Vicky's like taking his side, and I don't know. I feel for the daughter. I feel for Vicky, who's in a weird spot, but I don't know if she's making the right decision. But again, I don't know, because I'm not involved. I don't know these people at all. I cannot really comment, and I prefer not to, quite frankly. But I saw it in the chat, and it was kind of an issue going on in the wrestling circles, right? I mean, Johnny, you knew about it.
Well, people know Vicky. People know Vicky too. They've seen her a long time.
Who's
They
no
know the
longer
Guerrero
with
families.
AEW. She's like, they got rid of her after that, officially.
And I thought maybe she'd go to WWE, but maybe now with all this, that might not happen, sadly.
I don't think so. Finn Balor beat Rey Mysterio this week with help from Dominic. I thought the match was good, though, on Raw. You know? They started with a good opener. Finn and Rey. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Rey was great.
No, it was a good match. It was probably the best thing, I think, match-wise that we saw on Raw. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, where it's like they were taking up a lot of time. I think they kind of knew that the show wasn't exactly structured very well, so they had to eat up a lot. So, two good wrestlers just doing that, it's no problem. My problem is just, it's just the same finish over and over, and always a distraction finish, and it's always the same thing. That's the only thing that was kind of the bummer, but it's what they do.
Yeah, but again, I think this was an impromptu match, and I didn't expect anything super creative from it. But the wrestling aspect was good, It was fine.
But there was one problem I had, and I just didn't like in terms of the story of telling of this. Like, you had, Dom interfere, or I think he hit Rey, right, with the chain, and then behind the referee's back, and then in front of the referee, Finn points at Dom and says, "Oh, thank you for that. Kind of being like, yeah, I know you cheated, the ref didn't see it, but I'll give you props right in front of the referee for it. It's just, that wasn't necessary. I get what they're trying to do, acknowledge it, that happened, but don't do it in front of the referee. Like, again, they just make the refs look so bad. Like, they don't have to do that.
Yeah, they should be a little sneakier when they're doing stuff like that. Don't acknowledge it, right? Don't acknowledge it.
After the match, being like, yeah, like.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you, but that's a small kind of.
Yeah, it's little things. Little things.
So, Lita got attacked backstage. We still don't know who attacked Lita. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were there, but apparently they didn't attack her. So somebody attacked Lita. Any guesses? Was it Trish?
Like Kevin. Whoever attacked Kevin, it was the same way, right? Someone just dropped something on her leg, and was it the same way? Because she's holding her leg, so something attacked her leg, right?
Well, that was Solo Sikoa who attacked Kevin, wasn't it?
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, so okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a mystery there. I don't think Solo Sikoa attacked Lita. I don't know why she'd do that. Was it
same
Trish?
Style? Just maybe. I don't know. Like, you heard what Raquel and Liv said, though, didn't they? It said all the plan came together, and when they said that, I was like, what? Because they showed the package, where Lita got attacked, and then with the titles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, that you didn't paint that picture very well whatsoever. I did understand why the faces were having a championship celebration when they just screwed over the other faces in a sense.
But did they?
Well, that's it. Like, did they? Because it's kind of sounded like from their promo that they did, but I don't think they meant to say it like that.
Yeah, I don't think that they're necessarily the ones who attacked Lita, but that promo was really awkward tonight. So then Becky says she doesn't know either, and then Trish comes in and is going to replace Lita in the match. They have the match. Liv and Raquel beat Trish and Becky when Liv rolls up Trish and just pins her. The match was not great.
Yep. Oh, this was one of the worst tag matches I've ever seen in my life. This was probably the worst match I've seen all year on Raw.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a candidate for one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was trash.
This was really bad. And people were chanting, "This is awesome" at one point. And at the point of the match where they did the whole double suplex tower spot, where it was absolutely ridiculous.
Took forever.
Because Liv is going to go get superplex, right? Legs are on the wrong side, whatever, they have to fix it. But then Raquel comes in, an illegal person, and then does the whole, double power bomb. But by doing so, Liv, the legal person, ends up getting brain busted.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to take out your partner, get your partner hurt. But, it was a cool move and all that. So this is so cool. But in terms of the match, that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Yet people love it because it looks cool.
Trish was not moving very well.
No, she wasn't. But to be fair, I thought everyone else was very bad in this match too. Like, did you see a lot of the things in this? Like, there's a list of
Becky
stuff.
looked almost as bad as Trish.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was bowling shoe ugly, pal. Real bad. Not good.
Start to finish.
Yep.
Start to finish.
It
like,
never found
what was
its
going
way.
on in this match?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many things. Like, I started losing count on how many bad moments we just saw in this match. Like, they were trying to do these rolling pins, Liv and Becky, and like nothing was working.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like they just had no chemistry whatsoever. And when she hits that Oblivion move, her finisher, right, Liv? Like, they did the whole, she rolled through it. She landed right on her head. There was no roll through. Like, that's how she beats people.
Yep.
And then, it was bad. And then there's more bad, but I stopped counting all the bad stuff because it was too much.
I love when you really hate a match. It's my favorite. It's so good.
What got me so
much.
mad was the fans were like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Like, how can you say this is awesome?
No,
this
is
bad. Terrible. Like, don't say this is awesome, because then we're going to get more bad matches like this if they think that's good. That's the problem. Don't send them bad messages like that. Like, let them know this was bad. People were barely reacting because, like, there's no heat. Like, they're both face teams.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. Like, I'm guessing Lita can't be around or something, or they just couldn't have them on the same show, so they had to make them drop the titles, but drop them to a heel team. Like, this just didn't make sense.
I guess Ronda wasn't ready.
Yeah, but drop it to Sonya and Chelsea instead.
Ooh. I think the match would have been worse.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Come on.
I fear to see a worse match than what we saw on Raw, to be honest.
We'll wait till next week on SmackDown when it's Sonya and Chelsea versus Liv and Raquel.
Well, I feel like at least they've had like interactions with each other, so there's potential for it to be better, I think. Like, I don't think all the blame should be put on like Raquel and Liv on this one, but
no.
They definitely get some of it.
Yeah. I mean, I like Raquel. But Liv is...
I think they're both okay. Liv's okay. It's just, there's some moments, but everyone has bad moments. There's just some things that just doesn't work in terms of chemistry.
Liv is a spot monkey.
She tries hard.
Yeah, but she tries hard to do big, cool moves. But as far as her actual work, there's so much that's like clumsy and, missing. Like, it's just not right. It's not right. And they have too many of these wrestlers that have like a couple moves and they have athletic ability, but their shit just doesn't look right. Their strikes look all weird and they're awkward when they move, and half their moves look like they're doing it to themselves. Like, just her finisher is awful, and then a lot of the other stuff that she does, just, it doesn't make sense. There's a lack of logic. There's a lack of wrestling sense. There's a lack of pro wrestling with Liv Morgan's matches, Like, LA Knight and Xavier Woods, they had a wrestling match tonight. Like, it was professional wrestling. It was goddamn solid. I love that.
No,
it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. And it's so lacking in WWE. Watching those two guys work tonight was so refreshing to see two guys that are professionals that have been doing it for over a decade each. They've done their time. They know what they're doing. They've been around in different promotions. And they're well-established, and they know how to go out there and have a kick-ass match. And, some of these people they throw out there are super green or way past their prime and just not ready to go. And
Yeah.
and the other people that are ready to go are just so confused with what wrestling should actually be that what they present is like, what? What was that? You know, and then you have
It's
Woods
funny
and Knight who are just chugging along, kicking ass. And there's a ton of people like that, but I don't know. I think Raquel has a lot of potential. I think we've seen a lot of Liv Morgan, and like she's got her moments, but there's also a lot of stuff missing that is not getting there. She's not she's not a main event player, you know? Like she's okay, but she's not
right
there. And they kind of position her as being there, but like if you compare her to a Rhea or a Charlotte, like could you imagine Liv against Charlotte or Liv against Rhea at a WrestleMania and actually, you know, delivering a classic? I think it'd be tough. She's just not on that level. She's like she reminds me a lot of Alexa Bliss. You know, she had that twisted bliss. She had some cool moves. She was flashy. She was cute. But, like, there was a lot missing there from the wrestling package. The strikes never seemed to land. You know, like, there's a lot of similarities I see between the two. I think Liv is better, though, in the ring, to be fair. But
it's a little bit different, though. I found with like Alexa, like she had her kind of set up how she had her thing, her routine in a sense, right? She had it. It was working for her, and that's it. That's what she did. And then when she came back, it was pretty much the same thing, or even less, actually.
Yeah.
She would do it more acting in a sense.
Yeah.
So she didn't really evolve in terms of her wrestling. She just focused more on character. Where Liv, I found her wrestling has gotten better.
Yeah.
Not to say that she still is one of the better ones, but it's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's funny, as more we talk about this match, I'm remembering more of the glaring parts. Liv's insecurity. Whew. That was bad. Like completely missed the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole like, I'm gonna slap my leg, then give you a knee or a kick. Like when the slap is harder than the actual strike.
Yeah.
That looks really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just Liv on that one too. But it's not just Liv. Like more people do that.
Yeah.
That's the thing in wrestling.
But I don't know if she's ever hit one that's really connected, you know? The only strike that I've ever seen connect in a Liv Morgan match was when Brie Bella knocked her unconscious. Come on.
That wasn't even that good of a strike when you think about it.
No.
It looked not great.
I mean, it knocked her out. It was pretty cool. So, Liv and Raquel win the tag team titles over Trish and Becky. Trish and Becky were acting as a tag team throughout this match. Okay, let's talk about the booking of this nonsense. What?
Super chat.
They were like completely not on the same page. Like, Trish, go over here, hang on to this. Oh, go back in the ring. Dude, like completely not working together right. They had to cover up on commentary a couple times. We're like, oh, well, they're not used to being together. Then they do a tag move right, and it's like, oh, they're completely on the right page. There's synergy here.
Yeah.
And then they screw up again.
But I don't know if that was on purpose, though.
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the booking of the match, at no point in the match did they have, like, a confrontation over the miscommunication.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. You're right.
There was no point during the Trish and Becky interactions where you thought, oh, maybe there's some heat here. There was no heat, right? And there was no point where Trish Stratus didn't appear to be trying to win the match, right? She didn't throw the match. She didn't lose on purpose, but Trish did lose. So Trish loses, right?
Yeah.
You would think maybe Becky would lose so Trish could blame the loss on her and beat her up for that. But no. Trish plays it straight, is on Becky's team the whole time, loses the match, and then after the match, all of a sudden decides to beat up on Becky Lynch.
And botched it.
I mean, it was... None of it was good. And I don't understand. I mean, aside from the execution, let's not even blame the performers. How about what the hell they're doing? Why are you turning Trish heel? Why are you doing this attack? Why did you do it in this fashion where it really didn't kind of add up because Trish was trying to win the whole time? And do we need a Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus match? Do we need that?
Well, that's what they want to do. I just
Yeah,
if we're going to do this, why are we waiting all the way to SummerSlam? Apparently that's the
What?
scheduled date for this match. Yeah. So August 5th. You have to wait until August 5th for this match. This is going to be an extremely long build, which is nice. But do you have anything in the meantime? Like, are they actually going to do like a feud here, or is just Trish going to like disappear for a while and then come back in time for SummerSlam? If so, that's really disappointing.
I don't know. I thought they'd do it at Backlash because they started the angle here on Monday, but maybe not. I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't understand. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, but whatever. Liv and Raquel, like you said, did their championship celebration on SmackDown tonight, and it was not a great promo. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville showed up and questioned the legitimacy of their tag team title win when they didn't even beat Lita, who was actually one half of the tag team champions, which is a fair point. Nevertheless,
great point.
Nevertheless, it's benefiting them because they get a tag team title shot next week on SmackDown. So Sonya and Chelsea versus Liv and Raquel next week. You know Liv and Raquel will be retaining that one. What else happened here on Raw? We saw Bayley backstage with Dakota and Io, and Bayley was in a triple threat, right? This was weird. Yeah. Bayley's like, hey, I'm in a triple threat against two other people, and if I win, I get a title shot at Bianca. And then Dakota and Io are like, we don't like that. It should be one of us getting the shot, not you. And Bayley's like, okay, I guess you're right. I'll go talk to Adam Pearce about it. And then I guess she does because Io Sky is in the match. Is this how Damage Control breaks up? Dakota and Io just bully Bayley into giving them what they want? Like Bayley will turn babyface off of this as a bullied Bayley? What?
Well, how's that going to work when Io wrestles like a babyface? You know, does all these flips and dives and like says "come on" to the crowd and like gets the crowd behind her. Like she wrestles like Seth Franklin, but you know this is when Seth Franklin isn't a heel anymore. Like it doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand. Like she has a certain style of wrestling, and I get it. It's high flying, but the whole like asking for the crowd, like it's a little much there. Like maybe, you know, play more towards your gimmick that you don't like the crowd. You don't want to hear them cheer for you.
Sure. But just the idea that this is how the Damage Control story is going, where Bayley's in a match and then they're like, no, it's our match. And then she's like, okay. And then it happens. It's weird.
Well, she wasn't happy, though, or she wasn't like, jumping for joy.
Yeah, when Io won the match, Io beat Michin and Piper Niven. And for some reason, this is a number one contenders match for Bianca. So Io won, and yeah, Bayley didn't seem super happy that Io had won. So there's some friction there. Is it Io versus Bianca next week or in 2 weeks? I don't think they said.
Or whenever.
Yeah.
Like it didn't say, yeah.
It's a Raw women's title shot at some point in the future for Io Sky. So she's the number one contender. Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley went to a double count out. The match was all right, but we didn't get a finish. Well, they brawled after the match.
Really
Agents
the
and
match.
Huh?
Like having that, like that hurt it. That finish was awful. Like, yeah, you can say good match, like good back and forth, but then to end like that really took a lot out of the match.
I was surprised that they gave it to us so soon on Raw, and I feel like it's hard to just book a winner there. because Bronson is new and has been booked strong, but Bobby is also on a good run, and he's been booked strong, so I'm not really sure who wins there. So I think a double countout at this point makes sense, because if you really want to do a clean winner, I think you save it for Backlash or something. Like, it's a good match.
Right. You know, just a better way to end it like that. That just was a very terrible, like, for the crowd. Like, the crowd was really into the match, and then that finish kind of killed them a bit. Like, I felt the crowd didn't really come back after that.
Well, had Cody Rhodes after that, right?
Was it Cody? I thought Cody
Yeah.
was before that, but okay.
I think Cody was right after that
No,
match.
Actually, they had a Cody package. Then later on, we'll have Cody talking. Like, they kind of like teased us a little bit falsely. We're like, oh, Cody's up next, but it's just a package of Cody, and then Cody will talk about it afterwards. I don't know if you caught that part.
Well, but he did eventually. Eventually, we saw
Yeah,
Cody.
I know, but it was false advertising. Like, Cody's up next. It's just a package about Cody. It's not actually Cody, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't notice that, actually. Cody talks about losing to Roman Reigns, says a lot of people are pointing the blame at WWE or whoever, but the blame should be pointed at himself, and he's sorry that he lost to Roman. Cody says his friend Matt told him being in the main event is a win in itself, but Cody wanted to win. His friend Matt.
Which one?
Yeah, Matt Jackson. Cody's mad that Heyman said that he'd get another title shot. If he wanted another title shot, he'd have to earn it. And Cody says, I've earned it. I am it. I should get another title shot. But now he's got Brock Lesnar to deal with. He offered Brock his friendship, and Brock attacked him. Cody says he heard Brock was mad about his spot on WrestleMania compared to Cody's spot, but Cody says he's not buying that excuse. He doesn't think that's why Brock attacked him. Cody says Brock has seen his opponents as victims and wonders if Brock sees him as a victim. He says he is afraid of Brock Lesnar, but still wants to fight him. Cody then challenges Brock to the match at Backlash. Actually, he called it WrestleMania Backlash, which I think a lot of people are confused by. It's not WrestleMania Backlash. It has been in the past. It's now just Backlash. So there's that.
But Cody said it, so everyone's confused now.
Everybody's super confused. Is it WrestleMania Backlash again? No, it's just Backlash. So Cody versus Brock at Backlash. Backlash? Every time I hear Backlash, I think of Joey Styles. Cannot get that out of my head. What a promo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. Joey Styles Backlash promo. I'm not good enough to call Backlash? God, that was a good promo. Where's Joey Styles these days?
Well, speaking of Cody, so there's that report that came out that he's looking into acting roles, and apparently Legend of Zelda, Mortal Kombat. So apparently you don't think he should be Link in Zelda.
He'd be a terrible Link. He'd be a terrible Link. I don't think Link should be a grown man. Link is usually like a child or teen, isn't he? You ever see adult Link? There is no adult Link.
But, I mean, there's always a different timeline, so they can always make it interesting. But
but come on, John. If you've never seen an adult Link, could you really make the movie with a grown-up man as Link? I don't think so. Cody could play like a Bokoblin or something, but come on.
So that's what you'd cast him as in a Zelda movie.
Yeah. Maybe Ganon, if he's like with makeup on or something. Maybe he could do that.
Wow. Okay.
But probably not. I don't think I would cast Cody in a Zelda movie at all because,
Wow.
I would cast actors, not wrestlers.
I mean, he has like some acting ability. Like, it shows.
I mean, I wouldn't want to see him play Link just because he's a grown man. Okay. I mean, maybe I would put him in a Zelda movie. I don't care. He can play whatever. I don't care. If he does it well, maybe he can. But not Link. That would make no sense to me.
Fine.
Come on.
Mortal Kombat? Anybody in Mortal Kombat?
No, I don't care. I have no
I can see
real
Johnny Cage.
I have no real association or ties to that franchise. I don't care that much about Mortal Kombat. Sub-Zero. Scorpion.
Scorpion would be interesting.
Yeah. So Cody Brock at Backlash. Looks like it's official. Usos beat the Alpha Academy. Pinned Gable after the 1D. It's all right.
It was all right match. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. But again, I think a match that wasn't supposed to happen on Raw, but they didn't have many options, I think.
And then their main event was Solo Sikoa beating Kevin Owens with the Samoan Spike and a pin. And some interference from the Usos, of course, helping Solo win. Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle showed up late to the show, but made the save for Kevin Owens as he was getting beat down after the match. Sami and Riddle took out the Usos and Solo. Owens hit a stunner on Jimmy. Sami went for his big kick there on Jay, but Solo pulled him out of the ring, and the Bloodline guys left with KO, Sami, and Riddle standing tall. And, of course, on SmackDown, they had to even that out because at the end of SmackDown, it was the Usos and Solo standing tall in the ring, right? Back and forth.
Yeah. Just a mirror kind of thing what we got in the main events.
Yep, it
what
was...
do you think of...
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what do you think of Kevin's new attitude in a sense where it's just like he's just going to bull rush. He doesn't really care about thinking about the stuff. He's just going to go with his heart, apparently, and just go for the fight. That's it. You saw the promo that he cut?
Hasn't that always been his deal? Is that different?
I felt like, at least he was kind of like smart about it, where it's like he realized at some points that maybe I should get out of this situation. It's not good for me. Like, he actually uses logic, unlike a lot of guys in WWE. Now it's like, oh, I'm just not going to be smart anymore. I'm just going to go for it because why not?
Yeah, I don't really understand why he's doing that, but
well, it's to be different because Sammy's the one who uses logic apparently, so
Oh.
he's going to be not logic.
okay.
Like you saw the promo they did with Riddle right on SmackDown.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was that?
That was just them to kind of explain it, where Sammy's like, "Oh, we should think things through," like.
And
as a
Kevin's like,
team,
no,
and Kevin's
just
like,
get
"No."
him. Right?
Yeah, just get. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really pick up on it as it being significant in any way. It's just like, yeah.
But for now, it's little, but it's these little things that might grow into something.
They might, I guess. Kevin and Sami opened SmackDown tonight. They did a promo. Talked about winning the tag titles, but still dealing with the bloodline. They also talked about the draft. And they say the draft is coming up, but they'll still be tag team champions after the draft, and it's all fine. Or is it?
Yeah, they're good.
Are they, though?
Well, for now.
Yeah, but here's a way to separate the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles if you're ever going to do it. Put Kevin on one show, put Sami on the other. All of a sudden, Kevin is the Raw champion, Sami is the SmackDown champion, and they're champions together, but, if Sami goes to Raw to defend the Raw belts, it's the Raw belts they defend there. If they do SmackDown, it's the SmackDown belts. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could separate them,
Yes.
And then that's a way to separate the tag team belts, which they might do, because there's been a lot of talk of, are they going to keep all these belts unified? Roman still walks around with 2 belts. There's 2 sets of tag team belts. Until they do just one championship belt, people wonder, like, are they going to separate them, right? So if they were going to separate them, the draft wouldn't be a bad way to do it. Although, I don't like that idea. I would rather them stay unified, the tag team titles, because the WWE just doesn't have a deep enough tag team division to really need a set of tag team titles on both shows. I think the tag team champions going on both shows is fine. But just Kevin and Sami talking about the draft and mentioning the tag team titles at the same time made me wonder, like, oh, are they planning something? Are they planting seeds for a potential split? I could see them doing it.
Here's something here. Saudi Arabia, they're not going to be there, and it's Night of Champions. So maybe they aren't going to be champions by then.
Maybe the Usos take the titles back in 2 weeks. Heyman said that he guarantees that they will because the tribal chief is losing his patience with you two, right? That's what he said. He's like, in 2 weeks, it's going to be a tag title match, and the Usos are going to take the belts back from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn because the Tribal Chief is losing patience with you two. But when he said that, he was looking at the Usos, saying that the Tribal Chief was losing patience with them, but he was pointing at Kevin and Sami, and the Usos, they didn't see Heyman looking at them. They were looking at Kevin and Sami, but Kevin and Sami, they were looking at the Usos and Heyman, so they saw that Heyman was actually looking at them, at the Usos. So Kevin and Sami are in on it, and we're all in on it, but the Usos didn't know that he was really saying, you know, the Tribal Chief is losing patience with you, Usos. You better win those tag team titles back in 2 weeks. But you do raise an interesting point. They're going to Saudi Arabia. If they are putting all the belts on the line in a Night of Champions pay-per-view thing, and Sami can't go, would make sense for the Usos to take the belts back. That'd be something. You think people will be mad? I think people will be real mad.
I think it might be a good idea just not to have a tag team title match. I mean, you can have Night of Champions. You don't need every title defended. There's enough titles. You don't need to defend every title.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I liked when so Sami and Kevin are cutting the promo, and then the Usos come out. They want a rematch. Jimmy says they're going to be, it's only a matter of time before the Usos are 9-time tag team champions. Again. And I was like, wait, what? What do you mean again? Why do you say again? That shit was great. Until we're 9-time tag team champions. Again. And I was like, no. That's not what you meant. But, okay. Okay, Jimmy. That's good.
Yeah, I felt Jimmy and Jay were kind of off tonight for whatever reason. I don't know what
sometimes their promos are just, all over the place. But they work,
Yeah.
It's not always perfect, but you get the gist of it. And it's good enough. It's all attitude with those guys, Yeet. They're real, in your face aggressive. I love it. I love the Usos promos. I got no problem with it. It's just sometimes they say goofy shit. I like that they were making fun of Kevin Owens' yellow shoes. Made a comment about Kevin's yellow shoes, and you saw it, they cut to Sami, and Sami was, cracking up, laughing in the ring.
Well, the yellow shoes stick out a lot. I'm like, the first time I saw it, I'm like, well, why is he doing this? And it's like, he probably has a reason for it, so.
You didn't like them?
I'm not going to.
I thought they were great.
They're very odd. They stand out, and it's like, why are you doing this? But I'm sure he has his reasons, so.
He got people talking. I mean, the guy is always there in black, all black shoes. All of a sudden, he's in his all black, and he wears yellow shoes, and everybody noticed. You noticed, I noticed, the Usos noticed. I was like, oh, Kevin Owens got some nice yellow shoes. Kevin Owens went shoe shopping. I don't know what they were exactly. I didn't get a good look at exactly what kind of shoes they were, but a little flash is not so bad. Why not? Springtime, a little flash. Come on.
It's probably a present, from someone special, possibly, or some sort of special significance, the shoes.
Bet you it's not. I bet you just likes them.
Do you think so? He likes wearing yellow shoes? Why not? Just because he always wears black all the time. It seems like that's all he wears.
Change it up once in a while. Those super kicks really pop when you kick somebody with a yellow shoe. It looks better visually. It does.
Well, it always helps if people sell them right. I mean, when you kick 100 times, sometimes those sells aren't very good, but
hey, it works for the Young Bucks. Young Bucks have fancy shoes, and they super kick a million times, and it always works, all right? They do that super kick party. People go bananas. We'll talk about those guys in a bit. Solo and the Usos circled the ring. They were going to fight Kevin and Sami. Matt Riddle showed up, made the save, started brawling with Solo, and then the Usos pulled Solo out of the ring so that they could escape. And then we go backstage to Adam Pearce, and he's telling a referee to go tell Solo and Riddle that they can wrestle each other in the main event if they want to. This is how matches are made now?
Got permission to wrestle?
Yeah, what?
It's always interesting.
So weird. It was such a weird little... why did they show us that? Why couldn't they just be yeah, Riddle and Solo are going to wrestle in the main event? Why did they have to be well, this is how the match was made. Look, it's Adam Pearce, and he tells a referee to go tell the guys that they can wrestle in the main event tonight if they want to. And if they don't, what happens then? You know, like, what the hell was this? And why is he delegating to this random referee? Why isn't Adam Pearce doing the thing where he goes and tells them? Shouldn't that be his job? I don't understand what's going on here. Why did they have to show us that? Because it added very little to the story, and it really just left me with more questions than answers. Like, why the referee? Why are they setting up this match this way? If Riddle decided he didn't want to wrestle or Solo didn't want to wrestle, what would they have done for a main event? Like, they didn't answer any questions. And, you know, another thing, the Viking Raiders beat the shit out of Braun Strowman and Ricochet backstage, right? Like, just destroyed them, decimated them. 5 minutes later, commentary is telling us, oh, they're going to wrestle next week on SmackDown. And I'm like, what? Aren't they dead? I just saw the Viking Raiders kill those guys. Now you're telling me, it's fine. Match made next week on SmackDown, pal. One of the referees decided it was a good idea. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, could you give us some time? That's the time where you have Braun and Ricochet, like, standing up in the trainer's room and Adam Pearce showing up and being like, hey, guys. And they're like, we want a match next week. That's the backstage with Adam Pearce that you do that makes sense. You show Braun and Ricochet not dead, and you say, hey, here's a match next week. You don't show them getting their asses kicked, and then 5 minutes later, it's like, well, they're going to wrestle next week. They're fine. What you just saw, insignificant. Right? That's what they're telling us. They're saying, that beating, fake. Next week, match. Dumb. Dumb stuff, man. Like, the little bits of the show that keep it going were messy. Just sloppy.
Yeah, I feel like they just come up with ideas, but they don't think them all the way through sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they're just kind of showing through them there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I think they're trying to find ideas for Pearce, and I guess they're struggling to come up with good ideas, it sounds like.
It's just a lot of nonsense. The main event, we had Solo Sikoa against Matt Riddle, and then Kevin and Sami and the Usos were like getting involved. They all got ejected from ringside, but then later on, they just came back.
Yeah.
They all just came back. The Usos just coming back through the crowd, and then Kevin and Sami come back through the entrance ramp because they're like, wait a second, those guys are back, so we're coming back. And the referee is like, ooh. The match doesn't end. The match just keeps going. The Usos,
Kevin said that they could get disqualified for this.
Right, but they didn't.
They didn't.
Right? So what's the point of ejecting somebody from ringside? Again, it's just the little pieces that keep the show going make no sense. And it takes away from the continuity and the logic and the enjoyment overall of the product. And, you know, the Usos and Kevin and Sami are brawling ringside, and then Riddle does this springboard floating bro thing on the Usos and takes them out, goes to the top rope, jumps down to hit no move, just a stand, right? Like, I hate when they do that. When they jump off the top rope, just put an axe handle up. Whatever, you know, do something. Don't just jump off to take a super kick. You know, people do that way too much, and it's like, what move were you attempting there, jumping off the top rope? Because it appears as though you were just jumping from the top rope to the ring, which is not a thing that anyone ever does. So attempt a move when you're taking the super kick. Put your arms up, act like you're going to do a double axe handle smash. I know nobody uses a double axe handle anymore in professional wrestling, but if you did once in a while, at least you could tease it coming off the top rope like Macho Man used to.
Matt Hardy still does.
Who? Matt Hardy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's old school brother, you know? He knows what a double axe handle is. People know goddamn Poison Ranas and Canadian Destroyers, and they don't know what a double axe handle is. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what? Give me a hammer lock. Give me a double axe handle. Give me some professional wrestling. But, you know, we just get nonsense. And Riddle is from that school, you know? Like, he's never been taught. He's never known the old school stuff. So when he jumps off the top rope just to take a super kick, it's like, oh. takes a super kick, and then the match is over. So Solo hits a Samoan spike, 1, 2, 3. And then Solo rock bottom Riddle on the announce table. It didn't break. Riddle just kind of fell off of it, and then Solo turned the announce table on top of him. Kevin and Sammy went to save Riddle from the announce desk while the Usos and Solo stood tall in the ring.
See, the big thing I take out of this is if it was centered around Cody, he should be on both shows, but he's not involved in SmackDown at all. He's just on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the top guy on Raw, fine, but the fact that he's on both shows, it just feels like he's not the center of attention anymore. It feels like they gave it to Riddle.
Riddle is on both shows, but Riddle is doing the feud with the Bloodline now. I think he's taken over some of it. I think Cody is going to drift away from that. He's involved with Brock. It's a different story that Cody's in. And commentary kept talking about Randy Orton. Randy Orton got taken out by the Bloodline. Randy Orton. I was like, oh, okay. They're saying Randy's name a lot. Randy's coming back. And don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the tag team title match in Saudi Arabia is the Usos defending against Riddle and Randy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
Don't be surprised to see Randy going up against Roman for the world title at some point. Maybe SummerSlam.
Maybe earlier. Maybe Money in the Bank.
Yep. But I think Randy's on his way back, which is good because there was talk that he had a career-ending back injury. So I'm glad his career's not over. Always good to see somebody not having to retire because of their body giving out, It's nice to see Randy's able to come back and hopefully can go out on his own accord. So I think Randy will be back. What?
Interesting stat. It's funny, out of all the Evolution members, that Ric Flair has wrestled the latest match out of all of them right now. It's kind of crazy.
Wow. That's true.
I know.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, Randy will come back, so you'll change that.
Yeah.
But yes, Ric Flair has wrestled more recently than Triple H or Batista. And Randy Orton, too, technically, right? That's weird. Randy will be back, though, hopefully. Randy and Roman, I feel like, is something they never really got to that they could get to. Randy's a top guy, been around forever. A one-on-one match for the world title there, I think you could do a lot. And I feel like there's some real heat, but I don't know for sure. Just the way they kind of talked about each other and in interviews and the way they've interacted on TV. There was a promo they did. I can't remember the details exactly, but it seemed a little contentious between them. Like there was something going on. I think there's something there.
Yeah. Egos. It happens. It's a bit of a clash.
I mean, Randy's a veteran. Roman's the new guy, top guy. Could be something there. So I really hope that they do Randy and Roman. I could see Randy beating Roman for the belt, too.
We'll wait and see on that one. He's going to beat Pedro Morales' record, right? I think he's going to do that in July. Or a bit later, actually.
Like, does it have to be Cody?
I'd like it to be Cody. Out of all the options, he's
over
the one
Randy?
that, to me...
You love Randy.
Is Randy back? Randy's not back yet. We don't know if Randy's coming back for sure.
Okay, but let me give you options, okay? SummerSlam. Roman has already beaten the Pedro Morales record because it happened in July or something, right? Okay?
I think so, yeah.
SummerSlam. You could have Cody versus Roman in a rematch where Cody wins, or Randy versus Roman where Randy wins. Setting up possibly Cody versus Randy for months and months.
It's a tough one. I mean, it's good either way when you think about it, but it would mean more for Cody because he's never won the championship. Or Randy, that would be his 14th or 15th championship.
Yeah. But does Cody
Technically,
need to beat Roman? Does he need to be the guy to do it, or could you have Randy be the guy to do it? I don't know if you necessarily want to give that to Cody. I think maybe Randy. And if Cody is to become champion, he could beat Randy for it.
does Randy need it though? I don't know if Randy needs it. It's nice to give Randy stuff, but he's got
Yeah,
a
I don't
lot
think he needs
anyways.
it. I don't think he needs it. It would help Cody more for sure, but I don't really think Cody necessarily needs the win over Roman. I think he's made already. He's a top star. A win over Brock would help
Well,
cement him too.
if you aren't going to give it to him in WrestleMania, it's hard to believe you're going to give it to him afterwards. But stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what else happened here on SmackDown tonight? Shinsuke Nakamura came back. He beat Madcap Moss. I guess
Oh yeah, that
Madcap turned
happened.
heel.
I guess, or Emma, like, whispered, be horrible, be a terrible person. That's what it seemed like, gave him
Yeah, she
bad thoughts.
told Madcap to attack Shinsuke after the match, but it didn't work. He got caught in an armbar, and then Emma had to pull Madcap out of the ring to safety. And I think that's the end of that, because right afterwards we cut backstage to Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Scarlett has some sort of tarot card with Shinsuke Nakamura on it, and Kross says TikTok. So I guess Karrion Kross and Shinsuke Nakamura is up next, which sucks for Shinsuke, frankly. He's been gone for so long, and he comes back and he does that. I liked his new outfit, his black robe. He looked cool. The match was all right, but there was not much there. Short squash.
Well, it's a nice match for him, a nice showcase in a sense. So, hopefully this is the start of something good for him. Wait and see. I mean, if he gets past Carrion and gets a good win, they could possibly do something with him.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to do anything with Shinsuke or Karrion Kross. I think it's just kind of a mid-card feud that's existing because they exist. How about this? Xavier Woods beats LA Knight tonight. I thought it was match of the night. Woods beats Knight. Knight tried to roll Woods up with a handful of tights. The referee saw it. LA Knight protested to the referee. Woods rolled him up and then used the tights to get the advantage behind the ref's back. 1, 2, 3. Xavier Woods wins. Excellent wrestling match. Match of the night on SmackDown. And then they set up Xavier Woods and Gunther for the Intercontinental title next week. Imperium was backstage talking. Woods showed up playing his trombone. Gunther didn't like it. He says, approach me in a respectful manner. You're a goof, Xavier Woods. And if necessary, we can step on the mat and I can beat the respect into you. And then Woods is like, yeah, well, you've been Intercontinental Champ for a long time, and I never had a shot. So how about a match? And we got the match next week on SmackDown, which I'm looking forward to because I think Woods is great. I think Gunther is great. I think the match will be great. I don't think Woods will take the Intercontinental title, but I wouldn't mind it. I think they should do way more with Xavier Woods than they currently do. So I wouldn't mind it, and then have Gunther go off and do other things, but Gunther has been a great Intercontinental Champion. I also wouldn't mind him holding on to it. And I kind of expect that to happen because, you set up the match tonight, you do it next week. Doesn't feel like a loss for Gunther.
Yeah, I feel you. It's just the way they were hyping Xavier. I was surprised he actually got the win tonight. It felt like they were going to give LA the win because he lost already to Xavier before in the past. But they gave it to Xavier, and this is a good idea, give him the IC title shot. But if they really wanted to push him, they would have put over the fact that he was the guy that beat Roman first during that when Roman started his big title streak.
Yeah.
He got a DQ win.
Yeah, but
And
they try to ignore that.
Exactly. So to me, that's like if you're ignoring that, you're not pushing the guy. So I mean, but to a certain limit, and that's it. You're mid card title.
Yeah,
That's about it. So unfortunately, this is probably as high as he's going to get.
I agree. It's too bad. I'm a big Xavier Woods fan. Harold Schneider, big fan of ours, dropping a super chat. Thank you, Harold. Thumbs up right back to you, Harold. Dropping the super chat over on YouTube. Shout out, Harold. Shout out to Heavy Steps Game On, watching us on Rumble right now as well. Lots of people tuning in across the platforms here on the Ringside Report Network. We had something I know you did not like tonight, John. We had a backstage promo. It was a backstage interview of Dominic, Damian, and Rhea Ripley, and then it set up an in-ring promo from Dominic, Damian, and Rhea Ripley. And then Damian Priest showing him choke-slamming Bad Bunny through the announce table a couple times and warning Bad Bunny not to mess with him. And then a couple LWO guys like just kind of jumped Dominic and Damian from behind, like hit them, and then ran away from the ring, which set up a match. So it was just like a backstage promo for an in-ring promo for a match. It was a lot of preamble for this. What a wasted time.
And I get doing this on Raw because they're kind of just getting through the 3 hours, but to do it on SmackDown, it's like you really ate up too much of SmackDown for nothing, sadly. I guess they just didn't have anything else on the show. But that just seemed redundant and pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Not much was really accomplished there. The match was fine in the end, but they didn't kill that much TV time for that.
I think this whole team's going to SmackDown in the draft. I mean, Rhea Ripley is the SmackDown Women's Champion, and it's still not really been addressed. Like, hey, aren't you on Raw? Right. What's the deal? She's still SmackDown Women's Champion. It's just a matter of time before she's officially drafted to SmackDown, and I think Dominic and Damian probably go with her. I don't know about Finn, but probably him too.
Yeah, it should just be the whole group. Like these some guys, some not. Like that doesn't really work. Like then they just kind of just get lost in the shuffle or barely seen at all. So it's better just to put the whole group on the show and that's it.
Yep. Damian Priest wrestled Santos Escobar. The match was actually pretty good. Damian beat Santos after his chokeslam thing. Lots of action outside the ring with the LWO guys. I don't know their names. Joaquin Wilde and
I want to say Phoenix something.
Ray Phoenix. And Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega, of course, who we know. She was doing stuff with Rhea Ripley, giving her Hurricane Ranas. I think Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega are going to wrestle at Backlash for that belt. Zelina is of Puerto Rican descent. They seem to be doing a lot with Rhea and Zelina over the past few weeks. I feel like Rhea and Zelina is the match to make in Puerto Rico for that Backlash show.
Well, I think a rematch with Charlotte would be the match to make, but Charlotte disappeared, so yeah, I guess it has to be Zelina because there's nobody else at this point. Like, who else is she feuding with?
Nobody.
Bianca? Like, they won't do that match.
No. I think it's going to be Rhea, Zelina, of course, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest against Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Rey showed up after this match and attacked Damian and Dominic and went to give the 619 to Dominic, but Damian pulled him out of the ring, so that's happening there. Ray's match, Brock and Cody, Zelina, Rhea. What else?
That's a great question. Like, we haven't quite figured everything else out yet, I think. I would think maybe you would do something with Brock and Bronson Reed, some sort of finale to that, no?
Bobby and Bronson Reed. Brock and Cody, Bobby and Bronson. You said Brock and Bronson.
Right, yeah. Bob, yeah. Brock
yeah, Bobby Bronson.
I won't do that.
No. Bobby Bronson, Brock Cody. Usos and Sammy in some capacity, right? Usos, Sammy, Kevin, maybe, or the 6-man.
Well, we're already doing that match. Already.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe a six person. Yeah.
With Riddle and Solo added in.
Yeah.
Do you put Roman in that? Make it a 8-man?
Apparently, Roman's not at Backlash
At all.
at all.
Okay, so no title match either. Gunther and somebody?
Well, the main event's going to be Ray and Bad Bunny, right? That's going to end the show, I would think.
I guess.
I don't think anything else will top that. In terms of reaction, like that's going to get the best reaction.
Doesn't look like a great show.
Well, Seth Franklin in some capacity. Maybe he'll wrestle Austin Theory.
You don't think Cody Brock main events? I think Cody Brock main events.
I don't know. Like, I'd really go with the hometown, and I think you got to go with Ray and Bad Bunny, I think. And Damian as well. Like, yeah, I really think you got to go with that. I mean, Cody and Brock is a good spectacle, but I don't know if it's going to get the same kind of reactions.
I just think it's the biggest match on the card. What's the other match you just said? No, not Austin Theory, Seth Rollins. What are you talking about? I don't want to see that.
Well, who else is Seth going to wrestle?
Nobody.
Yeah, you wish that, but they're going to have him in some capacity, I would think.
Austin Theory, though? Come on, man. Haven't they done that Seth, a million times?
Not Theory. Seth's got asked to wrestle, though. He's one of their top guys.
I guess. All right, so Backlash is coming up in a few weeks, right? Not that long.
It's the start of May, no? Backlash?
Yeah, it's the 6th. 2 more episodes. Oh, no, sorry. 3 more. 3 more episodes of Raw and SmackDown before the show. So there's a lot going on, you know? The draft is before Backlash. The draft is a week before Backlash. The Monday leading into Backlash will be the Raw with the draft.
That's odd.
Right?
More than likely, the whole draft implications won't be enforced until after Backlash, more than likely. That's usually what they do.
Of course. But why didn't they wait till after? They must have some sort of idea. They like doing it before sometimes. They like doing it before to kind of give you a different feel for the pay-per-view. Like, hey, this might be the last time ever for this match or that match, right? Because they're on different brands.
And more than likely a sense well, that title has changed hands because this person's going to SmackDown. It's a SmackDown title.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, that's coming up. And on Raw, we'll see Brock Lesnar, and Trish Stratus will address why she did what she did to Becky Lynch. Cool. What did you think of Dynamite this week?
Ups and downs. It felt like the usual kind of Dynamite. It was nice to see Jeff Hardy show up. That was a great surprise.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid show. I liked a couple of the matches. I thought Darby Allin and Swerve Strickland, the opening match there, was very good. Darby getting the win over Swerve.
Best match on the show, I think.
Anytime Darby wrestles, man, he kills it. He's fantastic. He's one of the best guys they have.
Also, the promo with Sting.
Yeah, it was very good.
MJF as well. Like
all that Darby stuff was great. Everything Darby did on Dynamite was very, very good. High level. Darby gets the win over Swerve. MJF comes out after the match for a promo with Darby. MJF says Darby is great, and he had one of the greatest matches in pro wrestling history with MJF at Full Gear 2021, which that match was tremendous, right? That match was so good. MJF and Darby. You remember that match? It opened a pay-per-view?
I want to say Full Gear
2021.
2021, maybe?
Yeah. It was very good. And I think that they're going to do that match again for the belt at some point. But I guess it'll be a 4-way there at the pay-per-view. That's what they're...
Well, 4-way, yeah.
Yeah, which should be good. It's not official yet, though. But, right?
Double or Nothing's coming up, man. I mean, we're getting there. I know it's end of May, but in terms of set up matches, you don't exactly have a lot of time to get feuds all set up. I mean, you're already going with this 4-way kind of feud. I mean, might as well go with that match, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to. MJF says Darby might be a shitty little emo schmuck, but he might also be one of the best people he stood across the ring from. MJF says he beat Darby with a headlock takeover, though, and Darby just isn't on his level. Darby asks MJF if he's happy. Darby says MJF told him when they met that when he made national television, all his problems would go away, and he wants to know if they did. Darby says in his first year in AEW, he got himself into therapy to make himself feel better and learn to deal with everything and himself. And he bought his parents a house with his AEW money and helped his dad retire. And Darby talking about, the good things that he's done for himself and for his family, and wonders if MJF has done the same. And if MJF has really done the work on himself. Darby says, Sting isn't my dad. He's just my best friend in the company. And this is a 15-minute ride here, and I don't want to let people I don't recognize into my life, which I thought was a pretty interesting phrase there from Darby, which, what he's saying there is, fame is fleeting. Fame does not last forever, but sometimes when you are famous, you are letting people around you into your life that maybe shouldn't be anywhere near you, and it's important to, keep yourself grounded and all that. And Darby kind of saying, MJF, maybe not doing that, while Darby is staying true to himself. I thought it was a really solid promo from Darby, who says he's not going to lower his morals to be somebody in this world like MJF has done. MJF says, Darby, you're an arrogant little boy, and I'm sick of you and Jack and Sammy whining about my morals when morals kill careers in this sport. MJF says Darby is a gutless coward because he doesn't have the balls to sacrifice what he has. MJF says he's aware that he might be on his deathbed alone, but he doesn't care as long as he's the champion. That's all that matters. Dark. I may be on my deathbed alone, but at least I'll have been something. MJF says he's willing to do whatever it takes while others are not. And he wants to leave a legacy in the sport, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to be the greatest of all time. MJF says Darby's legacy will be Sting's little bitch.
I think Sting came out at this point.
Which prompted Sting to come out, which, he's like, you're Sting's bitch. And then here comes Sting to, defend his boy Darby. It didn't make Darby look like he wasn't Sting's bitch, Sting says, it had its moments, John, but I don't know. Sting comes out and he's like, I'm offended by your comments about me being his daddy and daddy daycare, and I see myself as more of a cheerleader. And then he just tosses pom-poms at MJF. He came with props.
Yep.
Why? What was that?
Well, he kind of made mention of this. There's a little bit of Joker Sting still in him.
Okay.
That's what Joker Sting would do.
Okay. Sting says, stop talking about this Cody daycare stuff. And he says, oh, whoops, did I say Cody? I didn't mean to say Cody. But the truth hurts because, MJF, you had a cheerleader and a support system in Cody that you don't have anymore. And Sting says, I had a support system when I was young, and that was the Nature Boy Ric Flair helping me along, and he thanks Flair for putting him on the map, gave a shout-out to Flair, and then talked about the evolution of his career and how he was in the NWO Wolfpack, and gave a shout-out to Kevin and Scott, the late, great Scott Hall, and, of course, the still living, still kicking ass, great Kevin Nash. Sting says he still has some more Showtime, or he still has some more Joker in him, but he doesn't have the hunger for the world title anymore, and Showtime is almost over, but it is just starting for Darby. Sting says Darby is going to become the world champion. And Darby says that the fake plastic world is not going to take him alive, and he's not leaving a different man than when he began, and he's going to be the next AEW world champion. And MJF then spat in Darby's face and escaped. I did think Sting turned it around. Like, when he came out and he's like, I'm offended, and he starts throwing pom-poms, I'm like, what the hell is this? But he turned it around, and I liked where it eventually got there with Sting. But there was a moment there where I was like, uh-oh, this could go horribly wrong. And MJF is going to say mean things to Sting, and it's going to be real bad. But it turned out all right. It turned out all right, and I thought it was a good promo. Every time Darby is involved with MJF, it seems like, okay, they're on the same level. They're on the same level, which is good. You need that if you're AEW. And I think the match is going to be kick-ass, the four-way. Good promo, good match, good everything. Darby, Sting, Swerve, MJF, everybody worked really well in this opening 30 minutes of Dynamite.
See, this was the best part of the show, which is good and bad in a sense, where it's like, well, it doesn't get any better from here, unfortunately. But
yeah,
this was still really good and worth watching.
Yeah.
And it may have been the best thing I saw this week in terms of 30 minutes straight of just action and then a promo.
Mm-hmm.
It was just well done in terms of everything put together.
It was probably my favorite promo overall this week that I saw, and maybe my favorite match too. One of them.
Well, again, just for a start of the show, and like you said, the first 30 minutes, it's this was a great start. The only problem was that it doesn't get any, it doesn't really peak after that. It's over. It's done. Jeff Hardy was great. It was a great little comeback kind of thing. It was a cool moment, but that was about it.
Powerhouse Hobbs showed up in the arena in the parking lot in this fancy car that QT Marshall had bought for him, right?
We've done this before, no?
I don't know.
I feel like we've done this before.
He gives the keys to a valet parking guy, right?
Well,
no, a guy who works for AEW.
Yeah.
We've seen him before, right? But he's whatever,
right.
A parking attendant guy, whatever. And he's like, here, take care of this, park the car, whatever. It would be real bad if something happened to this car. Almost threatening his own car. I was like, what do you mean? Do you know something is going to happen here to this car, Will Hobbs? And then, yes, of course something happened to the car. Wardlow attacked the car. But just the way it was sold by Hobbs was so bad, man. Anyways, Hobbs beat Silas Young in a squash. And then Wardlow was on the big screen smashing Hobbs' car. And then he smashed it some more with a forklift and then lifted it and flipped it. Just totally trashed this car. And then Hobbs decides to powerbomb Silas Young off the stage through 2 tables while this is happening for some reason. Right? Instead of going to defend his car, he's like, well, while this is happening to my car, I'm going to set up this spot and powerbomb this poor man. And then Wardlow shows up and he's like, "Rah!" And he starts fighting Hobbs and he stopped the powerbomb. And then a bunch of jabronis and referees came out to try and separate them. And Wardlow grabbed Aaron Solo, not Solo Sikoa, not the good Solo, the bad Solo. Bad Solo.
It's spelled differently.
Yeah, I know, but it's pronounced the same. So Bad Solo gets set up for a powerbomb. QT and Hobbs were in the background, could have stopped it, but they decided not to. And Wardlow powerbombs this fool off the ramp through 2 tables.
Through 1 table.
Was it just one?
The other one, I don't think he made the other table.
Yeah. This was terrible. Everything about it. The match, the thing, the execution, the selling, the everything. It was just clunky.
Right.
This is one of those things where you need a veteran presence to help things along. And when you're not used to doing one of these segments like Wardlow and Hobbs, they're just so inexperienced that it comes off awkward and really fake, and just the execution was terrible on this. The idea kind of made sense, but the way they did it. Although Hobbs trying to powerbomb Silas and then Wardlow having to make the save for him after smashing the car, like, why? I don't know. This is not good. It was not good.
Well, in terms of the match, I don't think they really could have done anything else. It just, that's what they wanted, a squash like that. Okay, I mean, not much can really be changed with that. It's what you want, it's what you got.
Mm-hmm.
But my main gripe was the fact that he's smashing the car, and they're just standing there. You know, they know where the car is.
Yeah.
Backstage.
Yeah.
They could maybe do something, but they just stand there, do nothing. That didn't make any sense.
They have a whole gang too.
So,
there's like 6 of them in that gang.
And it took him a while to smash that car. Like, he had to get the forklift and everything. Like, if they would have like ran after it right away, they definitely could have stopped a lot of that damage.
Yep. But they decided to set up Silas Young for some big move for no reason.
Yeah. So, not great. I mean, again, like, I think they had an interesting idea. They just didn't think it all the way through.
Speaking of interesting ideas not thought all the way through, Jay White and Juice Robinson, Bullet Club, are now Bullet Club Gold.
I'm surprised. I thought you'd be a huge fan of this. Wow.
I think this is maybe... I think this is just a bad way to bring in Jay White. Because you're bringing him in as a mid-card guy associated with Juice Robinson, who's been absolutely nothing in this company, who's a mid-card guy. He's facing up against Ricky Starks, who's a mid-card guy. Jay White is a former IWGP heavyweight champion. You could have brought him in. Like, he was a hot free agent. WWE was interested. Everybody was interested. He is a top main event level talent, and they've brought him in as just another guy on their roster. Immediately after debuting, he's just a guy. He really means nothing to the company. And that's... Come on. You're not presenting him as a main eventer. At all.
I'm surprised you feel that way, because I thought for you, Bullet Club was like the greatest thing in wrestling.
It's run its course, man. It's run its course. Well, and especially offshoots of Bullet Club. Like Bullet Club in New Japan, like, fine. You want to do the thing there where it started and all that? Fine. And I think there's room for it there. But, like, offshoots that you're going to try and bring into AEW, and it's Juice and Jay White? Like, if it was Jay White and Tama Tonga and Tangaloa and Bad Luck Fale, I'd be like, yeah, all right. And Juice, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But this is a group. It's not even a group. It's a tag team. And you got Jay White, legit main eventer, and Juice. Who's like, he's fine, but he's never been presented as a main eventer, you know? He's a mid-card act. Jay White is a main event act who's now being brought down to a mid-card level as soon as he's brought into AEW. It's like they're terrible at debuting people. They just make everybody one of the guys, part of the pack, within weeks, if not days of appearing, of debuting. He came out, it was a big deal. And now it's like, whatever. Not happy with
I think they gotta. Well, they've got to make the group more appealing. Like, add more members to the group. Obviously, just as a tag team, it doesn't really work. It doesn't seem very fearsome. But if you add more members, maybe put like Archer, something like that, Bandino or something. Like, add more people.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It might help. Orange Cassidy beat Buddy Matthews to retain the AEW International Championship. I like this match. I thought this was pretty damn good.
All right. It was all right. It just, I thought for the ending, I'm like, I just felt like they didn't really have anything.
Yeah.
Sadly, like, it was a nice roll up and all that, but it's like, And he really just nothing more creative than that. Just okay, he beat him out of nowhere, kind of thing. Like okay, it was fine. It was no, it was a good back and forth match, and I feel like Buddy Matthews, like he can do a lot of things in AEW, like as a singles guy.
Yep.
But he's in the trios thing for now. But I could see him as a singles guy. They could do a lot of things with him.
He's jacked, man. God
Well,
damn.
great shape, and not just jack, but he's also fast too. He's like Pac in a sense. Like he's cut, but he can also move around that ring very well. So, and I feel like he can mesh with a lot of styles. I feel like he's wrestling WWE, so he can do that kind of style as well as do the AEW kind of style. So, I feel there's a lot they could do with him.
Yeah. The character promo has never quite been there. I like the edge that he has now with the House of Black. I think it suits him quite well. That kind of mean, brooding, silent guy. But at some point, if there's no talking behind it, I don't know how far it goes.
Oh, manager. I think with a good manager behind it, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah. How'd that go for him this week? Yeah, I don't think he had a great manager in his corner there. He had Julia Hart with him, who just stands there.
Exactly. She makes faces. That's all she does.
Yeah. I'd like a heel manager to get involved a little bit more. Maybe do something. She just kind of stood there. Luchasaurus and Christian had another creepy vignette thing. So they're going to come back repackaged, I guess. What?
Yeah, something's going to happen. They said things about them coming back. This is going to be different this time. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah. Things have changed, he said. I don't know what that means. Then we had... What?
We'll find out, I guess, obviously.
At some point. At some point. Yeah. Taking a while, but we'll get there with Christian and Luchasaurus. Ethan Page did an in-ring promo, which... You got to figure people were changing the channel at this point. You're like,
well,
boy.
They missed out then.
I know, but, didn't start off great. And he's like, oh, the firm, we've had our problems lately, and Matt Hardy hit me in the head, and Hook took out Stokely, and I want to know what's going on with this contract and Matt Hardy and stuff. And I'm like, I haven't followed this story, man. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Right? Well, half of it's been on Rampage. Half of it's been on Dark. I don't think any of it's been on Dynamite. I don't know what's going on. Isaiah Cassidy and Matt Hardy came out, and they said some things. What?
We had the match actually on Dynamite. They just did a rematch also on Rampage, but the match happened on Dynamite where they had Hook against Ethan Page. Now, Matt Hardy wrote the contract for the match on Rampage, and he wrote in the contract that if Ethan Page lost, which he did, both matches, that Matt Hardy and I forget the other guy from Private Party,
Isaiah
but
Cassidy.
They'd be free. Isaiah Cassidy, yeah.
Right.
They'd be free.
But hold on. But I was confused by this, right? Because Matt Hardy's like, there was a provision in the contract that if Hook beat you, then me and the Private Party wouldn't be under the dominion of the firm, right?
Right.
So Hook won that match, so they're no longer under the control of the firm, right? But then Matt Hardy says, I always get to choose a match and a stipulation, and I want a match with you, Ethan Page, where if I win, we're no longer under contract to the firm.
That's weird. He said that tonight? Wow.
No, on Dynamite he said that.
Did he say that on Dynamite?
Did he not say that? I'm pretty sure he's like, yeah, Hook won a match, and we're not under contract to you anymore. That was in the contract. And by the way, I want a match with you, or I'm not under contract anymore. I'm like, I thought you weren't under contract anymore. What the hell is going on? Like, I'm pretty sure he said that.
Okay, I didn't catch that part, and that's weird if he said that completely. But yeah, I believe the idea is that they're not under contract anymore, and they're free to do what they want. And now we have the match because Jeff Hardy showed up.
Yes, Big Bill and Lee Moriarty attacked Matt and Isaiah, and then Hook came out to make the save, but also got beat up. So Jeff Hardy showed up eventually and cleaned house, hitting the swanton on Lee Moriarty. It's funny that Jeff, sees his brother getting beat up, sees Isaiah Cassidy getting beat up, but his brother, primarily getting beat up, and doesn't immediately make the save. Hook goes out, tries to make the save. Jeff watches that go down for a bit, and he's like, it's not working out. I guess I'll go out. Shouldn't Jeff have been the one right away to save his brother? But, whatever. Jeff Hardy made his return. Everybody was real excited. Hopefully he's finally beat those demons, and he can be healthy and happy and productive.
Well, now, if I'm not mistaken, he has to be driven to shows now. Because he doesn't have a license. Like, he doesn't have a license anymore for, years now, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I want to say 16
better.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least now I think he's supervised in a sense, so I think that's going to be good for him.
Hope so. Yeah, I like Jeff Hardy as a wrestler, so I'm not mad at him being back. I know a lot of people are, because they think maybe he should just stay home. But if he wants to wrestle and he got himself clean and he's doing all right, why not? Kenny Omega did a pre-tape promo from what looked like his home, talking about the Blackpool Combat Club and how they crossed the line when they hurt Don Callis, and he's gonna get revenge.
They showed a little exclusive thing where Callis's actual scar on his face, and they showed the wound. That was deep, man.
Yeah,
oof, that was rough.
I like the promo from Kenny.
It was all right. It just, I think it really helped because then he showed up later. So it's oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it was even bigger when he showed up because you thought, oh, that's all the Kenny you're going to see. Claudio and Jon Moxley had a match against Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler, which was just a vicious beating. Nakazawa and Cutler got beat up before the match even started. Nakazawa was bleeding before the bell rang.
Yeah, I give Nakazawa a lot of credit, though. I thought he showed a lot of good fire in this match.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of anything, but Nakazawa, at least there was something. He made something out of nothing in this match. Claudio deserves a lot of credit, too. He actually gave him something, too. Cutler didn't really do much of anything. But Nakazawa,
he was bleeding.
For a guy who was almost... Yeah, he was bleeding. That was about it. But in terms of, offense, he didn't really add much. Nakazawa, actually fought back a little bit. And he was struggling, but he was still in the fight. Where I felt Cutler was dead the second they touched him, practically.
Yeah, Michael Nakazawa wrestled more.
He's almost 50, man. For almost 50, he's not bad still.
They lost by TKO when Claudio and Moxley just kept stomping them and elbowing them, just beating the hell out of them, and the referee's like, that's enough of this. These guys are dead. Claudio then powerbombed Nakazawa after the match, and Wheeler beat on Cutler. And Moxley got on the mic and said Kenny and the Bucks are all in the hospital, and they're the ones who put the Elite in All Elite Wrestling. And then Kenny Omega comes out, and we didn't expect him to show up. Kenny's there. And then the Young Bucks, also not expected to be there. They show up from behind, super kick Claudio and Wheeler. Kenny attacked Moxley. The fans were going nuts for this. They were really behind the Elite here. Bucks hit the BTE trigger on Moxley. Kenny grabbed a road case to ram at Moxley's head, but Matt instead gave him a screwdriver to stab Moxley's face with, I guess. Kenny then went to try and stab Moxley. Moxley got pulled out of the ring by Claudio, and you saw the screwdriver just kind of implanted there in the turnbuckle. And the fans went totally nuts. People loved it. And, of course, we're going to have this match at some point. You figure Kenny, the Bucks, Hangman against Bryan Danielson, Claudio, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. This was good.
I don't know about... Yeah, it was good. I don't know about you, but to me, it feels like it's blood and guts, no?
That makes sense. Like a double cage type of thing?
Yeah, War Games. That's pretty much it. War Game, blood and guts, double or nothing. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
I think it makes sense. I think it'll be fun. Yep, I'm into it. I like this too. I liked showing Kenny in the pre-tape match, making it seem like he's home and he's not on Dynamite, and everybody knows that the Bucks have
Worked.
injuries and stuff, so they weren't expected to show up. And then when they do show up and they attack the guys, it's like, whoa, that's something. And the fans loved it. So that was good. It was a good moment there on the show. Toni Storm and Ruby Soho beat Sky Blue and Riho. Toni hit her running butt move, followed by her Storm Zero pile driver that always looks good. That pile driver is just solid, you know?
I've said this before. Tony's one of the best wrestlers going today in women's wrestling, so not
she's
surprised.
very good.
It just, to me, this just didn't seem like, much of a fair fight. Like, it's like, well, clearly Ruby and Tony are going to win. I mean, yeah, they gave them some offense, but I don't think there was any doubt on who was going to win this match.
Mm-hmm. Saraya spray painted an L on Riho after the match. Then they went to triple powerbomb Riho. Jamie Hayter came out to try to make the save, but got beat up. And then Britt Baker came out and took out Ruby and Toni before brawling with Saraya. And then Hayter and Baker stood tall. Kind of an odd move having Jamie Hayter come out, try to take them out, and just get beat up. But then Britt Baker come out, do the same thing, and she has success, even though Jamie Hayter is the champion.
But I think it's because, well, it wasn't just that. I think the reasoning behind that was because Hayter's kind of saved the day before in the past, right? She seems to be the strongest.
Okay.
I think they wanted to show that Britt could do that, and they wanted Britt to seem more likable because, like, she's more of the heel in the group. So for her to make the save, it just seems like, she's more of the hero. So, yeah, I mean, star in a sense, sure, but just for more of the alignment, got more people chanting DMD, and they really seem to push the whole Saraya, Britt Baker, how it's a big feud. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to that match again.
Yeah, I think we will at some point. I don't know. Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter for the title seems like a match they should do too. They're circling around it. They've done it so much, I don't know what they're going to do here. Like, who's Jamie Hayter's number one contender? She doesn't have one.
No. Well, I think she's probably going to wrestle Ruby one-on-one, probably at the pay-per-view. I think Saraya's going to wrestle Britt in probably like the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament Finals at Double or Nothing, I think.
Okay. Double or Nothing is when? Is that the next one?
It's May 28th.
That's the next one.
May 28th.
Are they doing another Owen Hart tournament?
It's supposed to be every year, yeah.
To end a Double or Nothing?
They should start soon if they're going to do it.
Yeah, didn't that thing last like 6 months before? Like, that thing was long.
The thing was very long, so maybe they realized if they're going to do it again, don't make it so long.
Okay. And then the main event, it was Chris Jericho over Keith Lee with some help from Daniel Garcia and Swerve. Garcia distracted the referee. Swerve was there too. He hit Keith Lee with some kind of weapon, and then Jericho pinned Keith Lee after that. I thought the match was all right, though, Jericho and Keith Lee in the main event. Like, it wasn't my favorite match on the show. I thought it was maybe third after the Orange Buddy Matthews match and the Darby Allin Swerve match, but I liked it as a main event. I didn't, dislike it. I didn't think it was bad in any kind of way. I liked Jericho. I liked Keith Lee. I thought the finish was fine, and everything was fine.
I felt it started a bit slow, but it made sense for it to start slow. I mean, given the two wrestlers and all that, it made sense. And it started to build quite a bit. And I don't mind the finish, but it just felt very WWE, the way that, he comes in and he's in the ring and it's a distraction kind of finish because then Swerve hits him. Like, it felt so WWE the way that was done.
Yeah.
It was like, you can't come up with anything else. Like, that was too bad. Like, to me, it took away a bit from the match. Again, good match, but just wasn't a huge fan of that finish.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly inspired, but I don't know how much this match really means in the long run. I think we're just getting to Jericho and Adam Cole. Adam Cole came out after the match and kind of consoled Keith Lee after the loss and went to walk
That was
Keith
fun.
Lee to the back and then kind of did a look back at Jericho like Jericho had done to him the week prior when Cole beat Daniel Garcia. Yeah, showing Adam Cole and Keith Lee together. They're good friends, apparently, but that's from their NXT days, right? So that was good.
Well, I think, because there's pettiness in wrestling, that because there was that report that they wanted Adam Cole to be on the main roster, but as Keith Lee's manager.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that was AEW almost kind of taking a shot in a sense where it's like, oh, he's kind of like helping him out in a sense, and this could work, this could be something. I feel like it's them taking a shot at WWE.
Oh. I didn't even realize that. But maybe. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter will wrestle Ruby Soho and Toni Storm next week on Dynamite, and Wardlow will wrestle Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT title. So that's happening next week on Dynamite. Also, there's a report from Fightful this week that CM Punk does indeed want to return to AEW. He wants back in. Good. Let him back in. I would like to see him on my wrestling show because he makes the show better. I don't really know how he is as a person, backstage, coworker, man, husband, son, whatever, but I know how he is from a wrestling fan's perspective, and that's pretty good, right? And that's really my concern. I know a lot of people online, a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people, everywhere, they have their opinions on who CM Punk is and what CM Punk is without really having any basis of knowledge about who he is or knowing him or anything, right? Just what they read and what they see and whose side they decide to take. But I'm not really taking a side because I don't know the Young Bucks. I don't know Kenny Omega. I don't know CM Punk. I don't know these people. I don't know them. Maybe CM Punk was wrong. Maybe he wasn't. Here's what I do know. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and CM Punk are all very entertaining professional wrestlers. And I would like to see them in wrestling as much as possible. And that's really my feel on it. I don't care about how you are backstage. I don't care if your coworkers do not like you. A lot of people did not like Scott Hall, but he was always good. People didn't like Shawn Michaels. A lot of people didn't like Bret Hart. But they were all pretty good. If Twitter existed now, or sorry, if Twitter existed back then, right? Like with Shawn and Bret, there'd be all sorts of nerds being like, "Oh, he assaulted Shawn. He pulled his hair. And no, Shawn, he stepped over the line." People would be taking sides.
He did. Yeah.
Of course, Shawn was wrong. Bret was right. Bret's always right. Bret is the man. But the fact of the matter remains that we don't really know. And people want to take sides and people want to say this and that. But I don't care. If you're a bad coworker, I don't have to work with CM Punk. I just want to watch him on TV. Because when I see him on TV in a pro wrestling context, on the microphone, in the ring, hell, even on commentary, he's one of the best in the world. Give me back my CM Punk. Figure it out.
Now, your thoughts on this idea that they might split the rosters in order to keep everyone happy in a sense. I don't know if you saw that report.
No,
Do you think it's going to happen, though?
I hope not. Split the roster?
I hope not either.
For what?
Well, because they're going to have a Saturday show soon, right?
Why?
Well, because they're getting another show, it seems. It looks like.
I don't want that.
Apparently at Saturday night, 6:05.
The main reason why you would have CM Punk would be to wrestle Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. That is the big match to do. To bring him back and to completely separate them from those guys seems counterproductive to me. And if you, as a manager and promoter, cannot figure out how to manage and promote your talent correctly, you are an inefficient manager and promoter, Tony Khan. Figure it out. Sit them down in a room. Get it together.
Well, I feel Dax had it right when he said that the match they need to make for All In is FTR Punk against the Elite. That's what should be the main event of that show. I think there's no question about that. That's the match to make. That's the match I've been waiting for ever since last year.
Yep.
So that's what we need to see.
What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? And let me leave you with a quote from Bret Hart that people are getting mad about, right? People are mad about Bret's take on current wrestling, right?
Because he dissed Moxley. That's the main problem.
So here's Bret Hart in an interview with HN Live. I really roll my eyes at how pathetic wrestling is today from top to bottom. I'm going to do the Bret impression, okay? All the top wrestlers and all the middle and bottom wrestlers in WWF and AEW all slapping their leg on every punch and every slap. It's right. Like it's to the point now where I can't watch wrestling today. Sadly, it's getting too phony, and I really question the direction that the people are in charge and are taking wrestling. AEW kind of gone on a bad direction, I think, with all the violence and gore. Dean Ambrose sticking a fork in someone's head for 5 minutes with a close-up on TV. This isn't wrestling either. Tremendous. He's right, by the way. Bret's right. Bret's right. Bret's always right. Bret is always right. Punk said that. Bret's right. Bret was always right. Bret was right about everything. He's like, as I grow older, I realize, like, Bret was always right. I'm like, yeah, correct. I have studied the life and career of Bret the Hitman Hart for most of my life and career, and I have studied professional wrestling the same amount of time, and I have concluded that not only was Bret Hart correct about every goddamn thing he ever said about professional wrestling and continues to be correct about everything he's ever said about professional wrestling, but he is the greatest wrestler of all time and the foremost authority on professional wrestling, and anybody that disagrees with him is inherently wrong. Because to disagree with Bret Hart is to disagree with the greatest wrestler of all time. If you think you know better than the best to ever do it, you are wrong. That's just how it works. If you think Bret's wrong, you're wrong. He's the best ever. He knows what wrestling is supposed to be. His brand of wrestling is the best ever. If he were wrestling his exact same style today, he would be the best wrestler in the world today. Greatest of all time. By far. It's not even close. The only guy that comes close is Bryan Danielson, but everybody else is like, psh, nowhere near the level. Nowhere near.
I feel peak Kurt Angle was up there, but
yeah,
that was a different time.
Short amount of time, though. Not enough time. Also, I think at the time, I'd be like, okay, sure. And during Kurt's career, but the style took a toll. Where Bret's style was a very low-impact style that did not take a toll. Like, you go out there and you're wrestling Kurt Angle. I've heard from Kurt Angle's opponents. It's not a night off.
Right.
You wrestled Bret, it's like, easy. And it's great. You know what I mean? That's the brilliance of Bret. Not only was he the best and having the best matches, but his opponents were like, this is easy. Easy work. With Kurt Angle, it's like, all right, strap your boots on. Let's go. This is going to be tough. But we're going to deliver some shit. But my body's going to go through it, might break my neck. With Bret, it's like, he's going to take care of me. It's going to be real soft, real easy, and everybody's going to go, oh, my God. Right? Like,
Yeah.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
There's
Brett's
a
the best
difference,
ever.
but I mean, they're both very good. Just one thing though, like, I'm not disagreeing with Brett's opinion. It's just his dad did book Abdul the Butcher though, so like, I know he's not a big fan of Fork in
As
the
an
face, but
attraction, you know what I mean? It
right.
wasn't every guy bleeding every match and stuff. I don't know. Here's another quote from Brett that I really like. Wrestling is an art form. All art is simple. Wrestling is a simple art that is really just storytelling or good versus bad most of the time. And it's an easy story to tell. Wrestlers have been doing it for decades, and wrestlers from 2005 up don't know anything about telling stories or what headlocks are.
I love it.
Oh, shit. I love him. I love him. When I see wrestlers today just slapping and the crowd going woo, and everyone keeps slapping one after another, and these guys just have welts all over their chest and blisters, and their chest hurt that night, and they go, geez, I was an idiot tonight, and let somebody slap me on the chest as hard as he could 500 times, and my chest is still killing me. John? Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. Like, not everyone's a fan of Brett didn't like chops. That's fine.
No, he did not like chops. He told Ric Flair, chops, don't do that to me. Don't chop me. That's what they used to do to the jabronis back in the old days. They would chop them, beat them, and slap them. I would never let a guy slap me and chop me. Ric Flair's the only guy that ever chopped me. He usually got to me in the end where I would tell Rick, you can give me one chop in the match to get it over with, but as far as the match goes, I'm not going to sit there and stick my chest out for some guy to slap me on the chest for an hour. That's not what wrestling is. It's not about hurting yourself. It's not about coming back to the dressing room and feeling. Everyone knows that it's not real, right? They all know what's going on. So why are you letting someone slap you and chop you and whip you across the chest and hurt you, and you're in pain all night, and you wake up the next day with blisters all over your chest, and then do it again the next night? It's just stupid.
See, I do it almost every so often. I don't do it every night. So.
No, not every night. And I think once in a while, it's okay. Bryan Danielson does it too, once in a while. And if it's good enough for Bryan Danielson, it's good enough for anybody else. So I don't fully agree with Brett on that, but I do know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about.
No, I get it too, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't kill yourself every night like that. You shouldn't be bleeding every night. I agree with that.
Yeah, there's that. There's just certain things become popular in wrestling, and then everybody has to do it, and there's just certain things that happen in wrestling matches where I go, does everybody have to goddamn do this? Like,
there's AJ.
Yeah, AJ. There's they have a knockdown, drag-out match, and then at a certain point, they're all beat up, but then they just start forearming each other back and forth. Like taking turns, like they're playing an RPG video game. It's like, why would you allow a man to hit you? Especially when you're in a weakened state. And it's not that it's done once and it's like horrible. It's that it's done in so many matches, That spot is done so much, it's overdone. Like the pull-apart brawl, where everybody is like brawling and you have to have refs and agents and stuff. Just that's not like a wrestling match thing, but that's a wrestling booking thing. If you have a pull-apart brawl on every show, they lose their flavor. It's like, yeah, it doesn't feel like chaos anymore. You have it on every show.
It's like the dives. You do it all the time and just takes away how special it is.
Yeah. And Brett complained about that too, where there's 10 guys just standing there waiting for a guy to jump on them. And I don't like that. Right. I've complained about that. It makes no sense. It's too much. Some of it is like overdone. It's overly fake. And Brett knows because his matches always had that realism. Didn't feel real like a fight, but there was something there. There was like an element where you could believe it. You could buy into what he was doing. You could suspend disbelief and really get into a Bret Hart match, and he would never take you out of it. But most of the wrestlers today, it's really hard to suspend that disbelief even for a second, you know? Like, you could sit there and watch Brett and be like, wow, this is something. You know, this is a battle. And he would get you to believe, and the story would be great. But guys, now it's like, I don't even know I don't even know if you're telling a story. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you watch matches today and you're like, what? When's the finish? Oh, that was a cool move. That was a cool move. Okay, that's the finish. And a lot of times the finish is flatter than some of the high spots that they hit earlier in the match, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a story to be told whatsoever. Like, that's why I like the Orange Cassidy-Buddy Matthews match, because Orange, his hand hurt. He needs his hand to throw the punch. He threw the punch. Buddy kicked out at 2 because it wasn't as effective because Orange's hand is not as good. You know, like selling an injury, working a body part, old school. You know, I like that. It works. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. And a lot of things in wrestling were just not broken. They were good. They worked. But we got away from it, and I don't know why. Backbreaker.
Well, mainly
atomic drop. Elbow off the second rope. Like, just keep it simple. Clothesline. A double axe handle. Just the double axe handle. Think about this, John. Think about the wrestling that you grew up watching and how often you saw a double axe handle.
Quite a bit.
Now think about the wrestling we currently watch and tell me how many double axe handles you see.
Again,
you know
it's
what I
just
mean?
the Matt Hardy matches right now.
Yeah, but it's just odd. Like, there's so many things that you used to see constantly that made sense, that worked. Abdominal stretch, all sorts of things, you know? Side Russian leg sweep. You know? Things that used to be have just completely disappeared. Completely. It's odd. Because those are the things I liked, and a lot of them are gone. Mat wrestling. Trying to make it look like a contest, you know? Kayfabe. It's all gone, buddy. It's all gone. But you keep it alive.
No.
You keep it alive, man.
MJF keeps it alive, too.
Yes, he does. He does. And I appreciate that. And that's why he's so successful. And, you know, his peers may criticize him for that. Keeping the kayfabe. Staying in gimmick. Staying in character all the time. They may hate him for it. But it is what wrestling fans appreciate. I think it's what a lot of old school wrestlers appreciate. And I think it's one of the reasons why he is where he is, which is on the top at such a young age. Because he's realized, like, if I stay in character, if I never break, they'll believe it. And the more believable I am, the more they'll want to see me. And that's basic. That's basic pro wrestling. Like, again, that's an old school thing that just disappeared. Nobody wants to keep that kayfabe all the time. And I'm not saying in your personal life be a dick, but when there is a camera on you, when there are wrestling fans around, stay the character. It works. It works. It will help you. Sometimes guys get lost in that. They live the gimmick, right? They become the gimmick. And it could be to their detriment. But But again, I'm not around these people in real life. I just see them on TV. And if it works, it works. So people might not like MJF for real, whatever. I don't know how much of that is real and how much of that is, you know, his friends trying to make it seem like he's really a dick so that people believe that he's a real dick. But I don't care. I don't care because he's good on TV. His matches are good. His promos are good. He's one of the best in the business. He's a world champion, and nobody's got a problem with it. A lot of people thought, like, oh, you give MJF the title. Even me, I thought maybe if you gave him the belt, it would be like, oh, he's champion now. What else do we have? Like, what else can you do? You know? Like kind of with Hangman when he became champion. I think a lot of people were really high on Hangman on the build up to the belt, and then when he became champion, it was like, yeah, some people don't always rise to that championship occasion, but I feel like MJF has been a great champion. His matches have been great. His promos have been great. He's been a compelling character. That goddamn match with Bryan Danielson at the last pay-per-view was one of the best matches I've ever seen.
It's match of the year so far, yeah.
He's risen to the occasion as champion. Tremendous. He's so good.
I just wanted to add that, just speaking from experience, I know a lot of workers that don't like it when you work the boys, in a sense. Because they feel like you're treating them like how you treat the fans, you know? And a lot of workers feel like that's a huge disrespect or slap in the face. So I definitely think MJF gets some heat from some guys that think that way.
But is he working the boys, though, or is he just working when there's cameras on?
I'm sure some people feel that way. Because you've seen it, too, like, when the cameras are on, like, he's also always being a dick to people. And you've seen him at conventions, too, being a dick to people all the time.
But I think to be an effective heel, you have to be that way to the public. Because everybody's got a phone, everybody's got a camera, everybody's recording. If people see MJF being a super nice guy, the illusion is gone. You see how he makes the magic, and it's not as interesting. Like, I'll tell you this. I'll give you an example. FTR and the Ass Boys, right? It felt like there was real heat between those two teams, right? But then Dax does his live podcast, and the Ass Boys interrupt and yell at them and do a mean promo. Killed it. I know now, because this is a Dax production. The Ass Boys aren't going to shoot an angle on a Dax production unless they actually like FTR. So all this stuff, all these interviews that they're doing, all that stuff to try and build the match, ruined for me by that one little extra angle that they did to pop the people in the live audience and to, for the FTR podcast thing. But because I know that you're willing to do business directly with those guys, you're willing to do business together when you really didn't need to. Shows me that you like each other, and all this stuff about you really don't like each other behind the scenes and all that. It's phony. So it's the same with MJF. Like, if he kind of lets you in a little bit, you go, oh, it's not, Why do people love Andy Kaufman and what he did in pro wrestling and everything? Why did that work? Because he never broke character. And people didn't like Andy Kaufman. Some of his coworkers didn't like Andy Kaufman, But is anybody still talking about them? Like, he's still,
some of them,
like, the legend is still. People making movies about any of the other people that were on Taxi? Anybody else got a biographical movie about them with Jim Carrey playing them? You know what I'm saying? You live it.
Christopher Lloyd one day.
You follow. Please. Okay? You sell it. You buy into it. You live it. And you can become a legend. But if you kind of let people in on the joke, people will like you, but you won't be, again, Bret Hart and Owen Hart, when they were feuding in the WWF, they did not travel together. They avoided each other. Not on camera. People didn't have camera phones back then. They avoided each other to keep the kayfabe alive. And I think that is, one, sad as hell, because Bret had, not a lot of time on Earth with his brother Owen, and a lot of the quality time that they could have spent with each other, they couldn't spend because they were protecting the business. And I honestly feel that out of respect for that and the sacrifice that Brett and Owen made and the sacrifices that so many people have made before them to protect wrestling and to keep the kayfabe, the modern-day wrestlers should try a little bit harder. A little bit harder. You don't have to, live the gimmick 24/7, whatever. You don't have to not travel with your friends if you're on opposite sides of the babyface heel. You don't have to have separate dressing rooms like they used to have, a babyface dressing room and a heel dressing room. You don't have to do that. But try a little bit. I would appreciate more effort from pro wrestlers in general in protecting the business and keeping that kayfabe alive, if only out of respect for the audience and also for those that kind of came before them. But for the audience, too. Because when you're trying to tell me something on TV and then you come off TV and your Twitter is still your WWE name and you're like, yeah, but this is all fake, wink, wink, Like, don't come on TV as Seth Rollins saying one thing and then go on Twitter as Seth Rollins saying the other. Because it doesn't help anything. It doesn't help anybody. Show some respect to Brett and Owen and the sacrifices that they made. I really feel that way.
I wish other people would too, but I don't know if it's as appreciated as much anymore, sadly.
No. I don't think so either. John, I know you appreciate kayfabe. When can people see you in the ring?
Well, I know Loot Academy is coming up. It'll be May 7th at Club Soda, and I'll be involved in that. I'm in the quarterfinals. Hopefully I'll be going at least to the semifinals. And then it's either going to the finals or maybe wrestling QT Marshall. Wait and see how that all develops. May 7th is when it starts. Club Soda, 7 p.m. I think tickets you can buy on the Club Soda website.
Nice. You think? Nice, or? Yeah.
Pretty sure you should be able to, unless it's sold out already.
Well, let me see. What's the date for the show again? Give me the date.
May 7th.
May 7th at Club Soda.
Should be a Sunday.
I'm at the Club Soda website. I'm in April. That was May.
April's
May 7th, Loot Academy. $30 for tickets. And I believe you can buy them right now.
There you go.
Yeah, so you can go to Club Soda's website and go buy tickets for this show that Johnny North will be on. Clubsoda.ca. Go in the calendar. Go to May 7th. Buy tickets. Go see John and others.
And I hope AJ's okay. Apparently, he said he got in a fender bender. Like, he commented about that. You see that?
Yeah, he got into a fender bender. Oh, boy. A little NASCAR racing tonight with AJ, okay. And his car lost. Oh, boy. I'm not
That's not good.
Surprised. You ever driven with AJ? I hope he's okay.
Yeah, once or twice.
Yeah, he's a madman.
He's always been pretty good, actually.
I mean,
it's too bad.
Wasn't there a story of him parking and like smashing into a car and then like running away?
Oh yeah, that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
that
about
happened.
That.
Yeah.
I hear about AJ. I know about him. Sneaky. All right. I'll be back Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time for Ringside Report MMA, and that's all. We'll be back next Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern for more pro wrestling talk. And I got the weekend off, which is amazing because I feel like I've been working all the weekends for weeks now. So, little break.
It'll come up again. Don't worry.
I know.
We've already talked about it.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing Double Shot coming up soon. May 6th, I think.
What's happening? There's a UFC pay-per-view and there's Backlash. Same night.
Yep.
Come on, Endeavor. Figure it out, man. You're the same company now. You shouldn't be double booking. I think this will be the last time they ever do that.
Do you think... Yeah, I guess we won't see any like UFC fighters on AEW ever again now.
Nope. Never ever.
That's
That
too
was
bad.
it. Yeah. I think what we'll do for that May 6th show is what we've done in the past, where we will start the UFC pay-per-view watch-along at 10 p.m. when the pay-per-view starts, and then when the WWE show is over, you jump on, and we talk a little wrestling while we're watching the fights. Post-show,
Sounds like a plan.
watch-along, double time, May 6th. Right here on the Ringside Report Network. I want to thank all the members for tuning in. Harold Schneider, of course, dropping a super chat. You're the super chat leader of the night. Thank you, Harold. Thank you to Leor. Thank you to Anthony Plessia and so many other members that are joining us. Join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net. $5 a month supports the Ringside Report Network. You can also support on Rumble. Shout out to everybody watching us on Rumble. Andre Sneeko, who wants one of us to have sex with his wife, apparently. That was his comment. I want you to have sex with my wife. Booker T, I want to have sex with your wife.
Not why he watches, right?
Huh?
Because that's kind of not why he watches, right? Because that's kind of. I know people are into that. I'm not into that.
Cornette, baby. Booker T, I want to have sex with your wife. Not just any kind of sex. Sick, perverted, bestiality sex. Kurt Angle. Classic line. Bestiality sex. Okay. Let's end the note on that. Let's end the night on that.
Nice.
That's great. Sneeko official. I saw his comment. I just saw the name, and then I was like, oh, that's an interesting comment. I want you to have sex with my wife. I don't even think that's real. I mean, I don't think this guy has a wife, is what I'm saying. I think it's a quote from Eric Andre or something. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
You're here.
I'm not going to have sex with your wife, but Johnny might as long as you're not watching. I think that's the conclusion.
That's what I agree to. Yeah, I agree to that. Yeah.
All right. And I can't do that because I think my wife would be mad. Okay. So that's it.
Girlfriend. Yeah.
Well, baby mama. Well, that's it. I'll see you later.
Law.
Okay. Shut up, John. Fuck. Show's over.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.